Winter boots, Keen or Merrow hiking boots, and plenty of other options. Plus, they have Nordic beach jackets and bindle tumblers to take to the gym with your new athletic shoes. So get to Brown Shoe Fit today at 66th and Q.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Sponsored by Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, Tractor Supply Distribution Center, T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Planet Fitness, Barnwood and Leather, and Vitalize Health.
Have you been to Barnwood and Leather, that new furniture store in Lincoln? It's a whole new look. If you like country, you'll love Barnwood and Leather. It's country with a kick. Rustic, yet contemporary. Handcrafted in America from historic reclaimed barnwood and the finest leather. Create your own one-of-a-kind look for a room or your whole home. Come see for yourself at Barnwood and Leather, South 14th and Dahlberg. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
Want a free pair of Nebraska football tickets? Head to theticketfm.com's contest tab and register for a free pair of tickets each week of a home game, courtesy of Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of Woods Brothers and 93.7 The Ticket.
Parent-teacher conferences are a key ingredient to your child's academic achievement. I'm Jenny Benson, a teacher and president of the NSEA. Head into your conference with plenty of notes and questions. Share details with the teacher about your child and life at home. Ask about your child's strengths and weaknesses in the classroom, how they interact with classmates, and how you can be supportive. Working together, parents and teachers can help every child succeed.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
You want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year automatically, with no limit on how much you can earn. How amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing because of all the places where Discover is accepted. According to the 2021 Nielsen report, over 99% of places in the United States that take credit cards take the Discover card. So get used to hearing the word yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen report. Limitations apply.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Koppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
Hey, what day is it?
To my knowledge, Wednesday.
Well, we're happier than a camel on Wednesday, baby.
Jake Bockoven.
Coach told me when we're in Rome, we do as Romans. And when we're in Italy, we do as Italians. So Italians, they eat pizza after the games.
Tom and Bock starts now.
Hey, kids. Look, it's already Wednesday. After a terrible loss on Saturday, we're sailing through the week. It's all happiness and giggles, or not.
Can't lose this week. Can't lose this week.
That's right. We're 1-0 this week.
Well, you don't get a win in the win
You don't get a win for that? They should scrimmage and then get a win. They do scrimmage every Friday. I think the scout team does. I wish you could see those. That'd be fun. But just listening to Schaefer and Happer, man, I'm thinking, is it time to – I thought I was depressed. I'm not that depressed. I mean, they feel like they're sad and depressed. And I don't know how I'm feeling. But I would like to, gauge what everybody else is kind of thinking right now with Husker football. But we'll do that as we go along with the show today. It was opening night in the NBA last night. Lakers, who didn't win a game in the preseason, didn't win a game last night either. Golden State won that game in L.A., 121-114. And I don't know. Russell Westbrook, not too good. And then the Bucks proved that they're still pretty good. They beat the Nets last night, and Giannis was fantastic. If you were to redo that list that you did yesterday, best NBA players, are you flipping those two, KD and Giannis?
No. It takes more than an opening night
Well, how
victory
about-
to change it
Well,
for
he
me.
just won an NBA championship, and he dominated the game last night.
Yeah, he did. I mean, and he's definitely could be taking that mantle from Durant or LeBron at any time. It's still that lack of jump shot that just really holds me back from.
Doesn't
I mean,
need
he's
one.
not a complete player.
He doesn't need a jump shot. He tells you, I'm going to the rim, and you still can't stop him.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. Sometimes you get, with the in NBA opening night, you get the championship ceremony. Those guys are just kind of distracted. But to go out there and beat the Nets was pretty interesting. And the other games, like you mentioned, Westbrook, I just don't know how he's going to fit in there. If he's not the number one option on your offense, he's not like a spread the ball and be a jump shooter type of guy.
No, he's
so
not.
I just don't know how he's going to run with those guys.
He was 4 of 13 with 8 points last night. AD was fine. He had 33. Obviously, LeBron at 34.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like Golden State even played that great.
Steph Curry had a triple-double. He usually doesn't get those rebounds enough.
But he was only 5 of 21 from the field.
Yeah, he only had 21 points.
And he was
they didn't have Klay Thompson. He's not back yet.
They didn't have anybody. I think they had a few guys. 2 guys scored 20. But they had 6 guys in double figures. You look at their stats, Golden State didn't play that great. They shot 35% from 3, 44% from 2-point range. But, LA's just old.
Yeah.
They look old.
And they don't necessarily have the shooting. I think it's funny. I hate the Lakers as a franchise.
I despise them.
But I love that team because it's just like the 2012 All-Star team getting together in Kent Bazemore for some reason.
You like that team?
That team's so fascinating. Dwight Howard, Rondo, Melo, Westbrook.
But are they good? I think we'll find out they're good. We'll find out they're good.
You don't want to overreact to opening night. They put 2 good teams against each other. It's a marquee opponent. So
yeah, they'll be fine. But you think about this. Golden State didn't even have Klay Thompson.
Right.
And they're going to get Klay in about a month or so. I mean, they're going to get him. And that team's going to be a lot better. I mean, you might think about that team making a move in the West this year.
Yeah, that would be cool, like all these years later for Steph, for them to keep the big trio, Steph, Klay Thompson, and Draymond, and all, make a run again post Durant, like 3 years. He leaves a long time ago. So
our Celtics, you're wearing your Celtics gear today. I should have worn my Celtics gear today. I apologize for that. I'll wear it tomorrow when they get
after the win. Yeah,
after the win tonight, I'll wear it and my gear, and then I'll make Rico wear it as well.
After a heavy loss for you, yeah, okay, you can wear your stuff. It's okay. The Warriors are also down. Their lottery pick, top 5 pick, Jonathan Kuminga, their number 1 overall pick from last year, James Wiseman, who tore his ACL last season, so he'll be back probably after New Year's. And then, like you said, Klay Thompson. So they have 3 really good players who still have yet to come back for a while. So they're going to be a real big problem in the West.
Do you like Golden State? I like watching them.
I've got tired of Golden State after a while. I kind of liked the story until Durant got there. Then I hated him. Now that he's gone, I like Golden State. Steph Curry's always fun to watch.
I feel that way about LeBron. I didn't like him in Miami, but I loved him in Cleveland, and now I don't like him again in L.A.
Well, the LeBron versus Golden State years, whether he was, wherever he was, Cleveland especially, it just kind of wore thin on everybody. Like, these are the 2 best teams in the league. Let's watch the regular season and have our different arguments
now it feels
about
like,
who wins the MVP, but these are going to be...
Now it legitimately feels like you have 5 teams that could win it all.
That's what's fascinating. It's wide open. The Bucks aren't dominating. They were the team standing by the end of last year's playoffs, but it's wide open, and I love the NBA that way.
Even Rico's Knicks made the playoffs last
year. And they're awful.
I don't know why you're saying that like they didn't have a better record than like everybody keeps trashing on the Knicks like they didn't have a better record than all but 3 other teams in the East. Like, what is going on here?
Because
and then everybody and then one team has a good, let's say the Hornets had a good year last year and people are like, oh, the future looks bright for the Hornets, but the Knicks have a good year and all of a sudden it's like, it was a 1-year wonder. They're going to regress. They're going to be garbage.
They don't really
again.
have building blocks.
Right.
They're in 9 years of Tom
Building
Thibodeau's career, he's worn out all his good players.
Julius Randle's like 26.
Julius
RJ Barrett's 21.
Those are good players.
Mr. Robinson's 22.
Those guys aren't 1, 2, or 3s on championship teams.
You don't know that?
I just don't think so.
I kind of do. We kind of do. You
don't know until you know.
It's about the. It's
people didn't think Giannis was anything when he first got to the league. He was
I don't think Julius is turning into
a project. They're like, this guy's not that good. Look at how
He's
skinny he is.
26
He's
too.
tiny.
Look what he's done compared to
You just
Julius
got to
Randle.
believe, Rico. I guess we've been tricked.
Because people believed him.
We've been tricked by
Julius,
the Knicks
people
for too
forget
long.
Julius Randle broke his leg in his first game as a rookie. So chill out.
Chill out.
He's
All
still
right.
recovering.
All So
Well, not good luck to your Knicks.
we'll find out
say,
who's
yeah.
wearing whose jersey tomorrow.
Yeah.
The Celtics play the Knicks tonight.
Is it a Carmelo? Is that what I'm going to wear?
It is. It is.
Yeah. Well, you'll wear a Rondo. We're kind of old school.
How did
fans,
Carmelo
there.
play last night?
He was 3 for 8 with
9 points?
8 points, 2 threes,
All right.
He'll-
5 rebounds, 2 assists.
He'll fit in better. Westbrook, I'm not sure if he'll ever fit in too well.
No.
No.
People are already trashing Melo. They're like, Melo was guard. Him and Westbrook on the court was a -12. I was like, well, Melo was only a -5, and there was only like 2 people on the Lakers that were positive, and LeBron wasn't one of them. So relax.
So
It's one game.
we'll have some NBA talk later in the show.
Yeah.
I do also want to get to some basketball talk. We'll probably do that in the 1 o'clock hour. I'd forgotten that Hoiberg, I knew that he did, but we have all the bites. Hoiberg spoke to the media. Wilhelm Breitenbach spoke to the media. So we've got some of that stuff to share with you. And it's 3 weeks away. And less than that until they play a really good team in Colorado. I'm actually very interested
Oh,
in
I
that,
can't wait for
in
that.
that Colorado scrimmage.
Halloween Day.
I mean, you could say it doesn't count, but it counts in my mind. I mean, you're not going to take it out of my mind that Nebraska, if they beat Colorado, is better than a tournament team. Or possibly better than a tournament. I mean, that was a good team last year that Colorado had.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't have Jariah Horn. That would have been fun to have the return of Jariah
right.
Horn on Halloween.
He played for Nebraska, then Tulsa, then Colorado, right?
And then Tulsa again. He's back at Tulsa.
He's back at Tulsa?
Yep.
Can you do that?
He did.
All right.
And I don't know
maybe
why.
Just hope that he'll come back to Nebraska then.
He was the second leading scorer there. Maybe it was his goal all along is, hey, I'm going to go get us some experience, and I'll be back
Right.
at Tulsa to lead you guys.
I was excited about him. He could shoot.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good, but he didn't play enough, and that's what happens with guys that don't play enough. They jump into the transfer portal.
Well, he's literally transferred back and forth to the same place he was at before, so I don't know if there was ever keeping that guy for 4 years for anybody.
That's what we're all about these days. Transfer. I mean, heck, there's no penalty. Just do what you want to do. Free love, baby. I'm all into that. In fact, I think more transferring the better. I mean, everybody.
Well, I think that one, not what you think of most, but Tim Miles was just destroyed by his best players transferring left
Andrew
and right.
White the third really hurt.
Yes.
Andrew White the third really hurt. Jariah Horn not as much.
Well, he did though. I mean, by the end of the Tim Miles era, you remember they had their big three, big four basically, but nothing else after that. They needed some bench depth because as soon as they had some injuries, and they did, they just didn't have enough to go behind it. So I mean, I was always pretty. I was just astounded how you could have four such good players. That was the Jordan Palmer and Glenn Watson, and as a senior, those guys, and then from there, the drop off was everybody had transferred.
Yeah. And in the case of Hoiberg, it's going to benefit Nebraska. In the case of Tim Miles, it really hurt Nebraska.
Yeah.
But Nebraska did get Copeland and Palmer were both transferred in.
No, he was. I mean, that's also what Tim Miles built his program around. Petaway, Palmer,
But I
Pittsford.
think in Hoiberg's case, he's going to really live on it. But maybe not as much as we thought that he would have to. In that you get a guy like Bryce McGowan, who's a 5-star coming out of high school, and maybe you get an Omaha Baloo down the road. Wilhelm Breitenbach, a high 4-star. They've proven that they can get guys to transfer in that have played elsewhere, but are still young as well.
Yeah.
So, a guy like CJ Wilcher, very young. Keon Edwards, very young. They're both freshmen, and they've already played somewhere else. So if you can get guys like that, that's a double bonus.
Yeah, roster management was going to be fascinating because it was a thing where Hoiberg was kind of at Iowa State. That was his like calling card, right? I mean, everybody kind of knew him as the transfer guy. Now, all these years later, now that he's at Nebraska, he's not alone. He's like if you're not transferring, if you're not looking at the portal to go along with your normal recruiting, you're going to be way behind.
Right. We are going to talk a little Nebraska football a little bit later on. And I do want to talk about Nebraska football as it relates to the transfer portal because Scott Frost had some interesting things to say. We know it's going to be a small class. You just lost a defensive end recruit from Florida, from Jacksonville and Swartz yesterday. To get where they need to go, I think Nebraska might have to build their roster a little bit more like Mel Tucker has done at Michigan State next year, where they brought in 15 transfers. And we'll talk about it because there's a list of guys that could either stay or go.
Yeah.
For Nebraska football. And so much hinges, I think, on their success next year about whether those guys stay or go. And name, image, and likeness might have something to say about that. The transfer portal might have something to say about that.
Right.
The JUCO ranks could have something to say about that. But we'll go through the list a little bit later on. We will talk some Husker hoops because I am excited. We're getting very close to at least the exhibition season, 3 weeks away from the actual tip-off of the season. But we will talk Husker hoops with Chris Bassett of the Lincoln Journal-Star. It was NBA opening night. We'll have some more of that. Steve Sipple is back.
All right.
I think he was back on early break
Yeah.
this morning, and he'll be on our show a little bit later on today, hopefully in the 1 o'clock hour.
And people on the text line are pointing out, I mean, this is kind of happening now, so it's worth talking about, and we'll talk about it later too. The buy one, get one offer, people are getting now in their emails from the university. I mean, that's where this thing is headed, is that, you know, the sellout streak and all that. As much as, I mean, people get so tired of talking about it, but one day, I mean, it's getting close. It seems like that you won't have to talk about it because it's just going to go away. I mean, to have ever thought that you'd ever have a buy one, get one at a Nebraska football game is just, it's almost unimaginable.
And I love the red carpet experience idea.
Oh, yeah.
Going to boosters and say, buy tickets for, you know, underprivileged kids or people that can't afford the cost of admission. And Trev Alberts has talked about the $20 ticket as well for people who just can't afford, period, to pay any more than that. I got $20. Can I get in?
Yeah.
And you give them a seat that we used to call the knothole section. I think back in the 50s and 60s, you could get in for 50 cents or $1, something like that, and sit in the knothole section.
Yeah.
That would be similar to that. But a lot of people just want to get in. When I was a kid, I just want to get in the game.
Oh, absolutely. It was hard back when I was a kid because, I mean, this was the mid 90s or whatever. I mean, I had to wait. I mean, you know, my family wasn't the richest of families, so I had to like pick and choose which games, or, you know, I wouldn't be able to go to the marquee games, but you know, sometimes we'd find a way, you know, some friends or something have a ticket or something. It was just awesome, but I rarely get to go.
And you didn't care what game it was. Could have been
no
roast beef state. I'll go.
Yeah.
I just want to see Nebraska football. When I was a kid, we started sneaking into football games when I was, 12, 13 years old. And a lot of times it was come down at 7 a.m. before the guards were there and climb the fence. Or I remember Tony Davis, touchdown Tony Davis, played in the 70s. He would tell us to meet. You would go in the elevator in the trophy room, and you'd take the elevator down, and he would sneak us out onto the field. A football player for Nebraska. And he's been on the show a long time ago confirming that.
Yeah.
That he used to do that.
How many kids did you do that
it started with like 4 of us.
Yeah.
And then the next week it became 8.
Yeah.
And then the following Saturday it became like 15, and he had to stop doing it.
Yeah, I can't do this anymore.
You can't do this anymore. But I remember climbing over fences. I remember sneaking through the gate and running so the guard couldn't catch me.
Yeah. See, that's before my time, but I hear a lot of stories from people a little older than me and from your generation that was maybe a rite of passage. It seemed like to sneak into a Husker game.
Well, that you could not afford it. You couldn't afford to get in as a kid. So then I started selling Coke at the football game.
Yeah.
But then
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. That's right. I never. Well, one time I sold cake. Just one time, cocaine. No, but it actually used to be in the Coke. So, but no, I sold Coke. Now it's a Pepsi school.
Yeah.
But back then it was Coca-Cola, and the way that we would get in is to sell Coke.
Yeah.
But I realized doing that, I didn't want to do it for very long. I wanted to watch the game.
Yeah, and you didn't. I did it one half too. When I was a kid, and I just didn't make enough money that I watched the second half.
I was that guy who would carry it into the stands, and people would be demanding Coke, but I'd be watching the game, and they were like, "Give me a Coke,
yeah,
give me a Coke." And I was like, "No, just let me finish this one play."
Those things are heavy too. I give credit to those people that walk around and do that.
And I had a buddy that sold chairbacks as well.
Oh yeah,
did that. But I just found that I really wanted to get into the game, so I remember I stopped selling Coke, and then I would just go and see my name on the Coke roster. And they would let me in, but I wouldn't sell the Coke.
They didn't have a very good system of adding it up at the end.
In fact, they were so disorganized with that. I was on the Coke roster for 3 years without selling Coke.
Oh, wow.
And that was a great way to get into
That was a great. You were a very dishonest child.
No, I wasn't. I was probably my only dishonesty. I don't remember ever stealing anything.
You already talking about how you snuck in, and now you had 3 years worth of not selling.
No, but
Coca-Cola.
it was because I couldn't afford to pay the price of that ticket. And that's the essence of the red carpet experience. The red carpet experience provides tickets for kids like similar to me, probably not similar to me, less fortunate even than I was at that point. I probably could have, used my paper route money and paid the ticket. I just didn't want to. That's a lot of money. And I didn't feel like I could
That's all the money you worked for.
And occasionally an aunt, an uncle, a friend of the family would give us a ticket, and I would definitely take it. And I was very happy to go. But I think that's the essence of the red carpet experience. But we're talking about a sellout streak that is probably over when you start doing a 2-for-1 deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be, who knows? Maybe Nebraska fans will step up again. They have time. It's a bye week to buy the tickets and keep this thing a sellout. But it's hard to convince Nebraska fans right now, hey, just hang in there. Hang in there. Because things are about to turn.
I'm surprised, and I don't want to get it to this conversation yet because, you just don't want to be a negative and things could completely turn around. But there are certain games that you go to that you get the feeling this is the end. The Bill Callahan game is kind of famous, the 2007 Oklahoma State game, where everybody walked out at halftime because they were just getting shellacked. They didn't score a point, and the program kind of just gave up on it. The fans wanted to show, hey, this isn't Nebraska. This isn't what we're going to keep showing up for. Mike Riley, I think the Ohio State game, everybody left at halftime, and I kind of, you kind of knew already at that point because the athletic director had been fired. But there's just certain times that you kind of think of the stadium getting bare, and I wonder. I mean, Purdue could be that sort of statement game if it does. A 2-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter for Purdue, something like that. If it gets ugly, and the guys and the stadium's almost empty. You could have that eerie feeling close to Halloween, right?
Right.
And there's, that would be sad. I hope that's not the case. You still have, the Iowa, Wisconsin, and Ohio State game to go for. But if you're not beating Purdue, there's not much hope that you're going to get it turned around the last three.
Right.
So it's there's a lot on the line at Purdue. I'm thinking there's got to be at least some intrigue. I don't think anybody's wants to go just to be part of the crew that walks out at halftime.
Right.
But I know it's not like on the edge of getting to a bowl game or doing anything else, but to me, the intrigue is there enough that, hey, they need this as far as if this program is going to move forward. And I don't know. It will get closer once we get to the Purdue League to really kind of gauge how much they need that win or what a loss to Purdue would do. But man, you talk about being in the dumps after a buy one, get one special. If you lose that game, it's getting pretty cloudy around Lincoln, isn't it?
I hope that they sell it out again. But as the text line points out, 464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, Sutter Heyman text line, both at that number. Is it really a sellout streak if you're giving away tickets? It still is. In my mind, because I live in that world where I deny that Nebraska football is where it is. They are. Nebraska is where they are. And I think Nebraska fans are still the best in the country. It wouldn't have lasted this long because over the last, and it's not just now that, 20 and 25 and 15 or 15 and 25 has happened over the last 4 years of Scott Frost. Before that, it wasn't much better. It was a little better record wise, but it wasn't, you didn't look at the field and say the football was better under Mike Riley. Certainly the football, you can make the argument, is better now than it was under Mike Riley. The record is worse. And things haven't been fixed that need to be fixed, the detail part of the football. But it's actually better football now than it was under Mike Riley. I would say, in some ways, it's similar to what we saw under Bo Pelini. But Bo Pelini always found a way to win those close games.
Well, and it's just hard to say that, too, because, Riley had some stretches. He went 9-4. That stretch was certainly way better than anything Nebraska's done under Frost.
Except for the bad in Riley was way worse than the bad in Frost.
Right. You didn't have the 62-3 loss in that 9-4 season. And then, I don't even know how much to hold 2017 against Riley when the athletic department quits on the football team before conference season. So
that's true.
That's always hard for me to gauge. But,
when they fire your boss,
ugly.
When they fire your boss, the guy that hired you, and when Eichhorst was fired.
Yeah.
And he goes to, remember the scene where he goes down to the locker room after another bad loss and says, all's well, all's well. He does that routine that we've seen before. Steve Peterson, I remember doing something similar, signing Bill Callahan to an extended deal. And then, he's gone. And then Callahan's gone. Steve Peterson's gone. And then Callahan's gone.
Yeah.
It was very similar in that way, the way it ended. It's not going to end that way because we know that Trev Alberts is not going anywhere.
Right.
The athletic director is not going
anywhere. So there's at least some stability there.
There's stability in that.
If things go right.
Yeah, because they're not going to fire Trev Alberts. Nobody's going to fire Trev Alberts anytime soon. So he's the guy that makes the decision on Scott Frost. And I don't think he's going to be trigger happy. He's not a guy that's, that was just unacceptable. Not from going down in the locker room, congratulating everybody after the Michigan loss to saying, okay, this can't work. I just don't see him as a guy that's going there right away. But you're right. You don't sell out Purdue. You offer 2-for-1 ticket specials, and then you come and lay an egg. The conversation changes quickly.
Yeah.
It always does in the coaching business. You go from athletic director saying he has my complete and total confidence to, it's not working out.
Well, was it Eichhorst that kind of, there was rumblings about Pelini for a while, and he would say, I'm waiting till the end of the season till I'll say something. And I think that was even with Tim Miles more than anybody. But, wait till the season's complete to make your judgment and all that. And I think that's where you have to be. Because, again, like I said, you could go out and lose by 2 touchdowns to Purdue. But if you go beat Ohio State, I know it's highly unlikely. But if you go beat Ohio State and Iowa and Wisconsin, then the narrative of the season is different. So you don't want to, again, going back to 2017, you don't want to give up on the football team halfway through the season or early through the season. I think you want to give it their best shot and show that you have support. But, sometimes like 2017, I understand why they were doing that. It was positioning for Scott Frost. And I think that's why USC and LSU are doing what they're doing, positioning to get the top coach on the market. But I think especially where Nebraska is, where you don't know, what the rest of the season is going to be. You don't know how much support you want to continue. You have a lot to see still before you want to make a decision.
You mentioned LSU, USC. Those are two still of the better jobs in college football. Nebraska's not in that same range. Nebraska's not even close because of proximity to recruits. We know, but it's still a good job. And as the text line points out, 464-5685, Sutter Heyman text line, he won't be trigger happy talking about Trev Alberts. But he's not going to feel like that he owes Scott Frost anything either. I've said it before. I think Trev Alberts has Nebraska in mind and Nebraska's success in the long haul in every sport, not just football. And then the coach, he wants to help the coach get there. And I think that he would like to help Scott Frost do this thing because I think he believes, hey, if we can get through this thing and we can do it with Frost, it's going to make everybody look good. Because most athletic directors have an ego and they want to hire their own coach. I don't think he's one of them necessarily. I think he likes Frost, but he's got to figure out a way for them both to be successful. Both their jobs are tied to the success of Nebraska football, and he knows that. So I don't think he's going to be trigger happy at all, but I also don't think he's going to be afraid when the time comes to make any change that needs to happen within the athletic department.
Yeah. And thankfully, the worst thing that could happen was, again, back to the Eichhorst situation, was so ugly because Eichhorst didn't, he came in with Bo somewhat on a heated seat or, kind of getting there. And then he didn't support Bo whatsoever. And of course, you heard that from Bo throughout the end of his tenure. And it was just very strange, even his last year, because, the year before Bo was fired, he said, if they're going to fire me, fire me. And because he just didn't feel any support.
Right.
Thankfully, that's not happening this time.
That's not happening this
Alberts
time.
has full support. Frost has Alberts full support. Alberts, just like the rest of the state, is cheering for the guy, trying to do everything they can do to make it work. But it's, ultimately, you just kind of have to make the right football move, and we'll see what that is, as things play out down the stretch.
Hear this comment as well. Sutter Heyman text line from Aaron. I think all these people who need satisfaction now need to just chill out. Firing coaches over and over does not work, basically. And you hear that argument. And I've spent some time with boosters this weekend. Some of my golf buddies do. A lot of people give money to the university. And you hear that argument. I'm just sick of firing coaches. The wheel of coaches has not worked at Nebraska. Point to one that did work. Maybe Pelini did, but he was a Nebraska guy. So that's our hope, is that we, not necessarily a direct ascendant of Nebraska, but certainly was on that Frank Solich staff. And that's one of the reasons Tom Osborne went out and got Bo Pelini, because it was here and thought he understood the lay of the land, compared him to Bob Devaney, all those things.
Yeah.
And that's why you always give the local guy a little longer runway. That was always the promise that Scott Frost had. You're going to get a long runway, 7 years, good or bad. We're going to wait this thing out. And if you need some changes within the staff, maybe we do that. If you need some changes in the way you do things, we'll do that. But we're not going to fire the guy. I mean, that's kind of the message that Bill Moose was giving, right?
Yeah, and it was the problem with that. Well, there's a few things that I disagree with there. The cycle of coaches, I think that's a false narrative. Bo Pelini got 7 years. That's plenty of time. Frank Solich had 6 years. That's plenty of time. Those don't fall under your category. Bill Callahan, I mean, that thing was not headed in the right direction. I don't know what to tell you. After 4 years, falling from where Nebraska fell under Frank Solich to where it was under Bill Callahan, that's time to make the move. Mike Riley was a bad hire to begin with. I agree. I'll keep saying it. 2017, I feel bad that they gave up on him 3 games into the season. But again, that was a bad hire to begin with.
That was a horrible hire.
And then you just 3 years in, you're saying this isn't going anywhere. So I mean, they're coaching. This is 2021. This isn't 1980. You don't get 5 and 6 years to get it done. Not with the transfer portal. Not with how fast things move these days. And then the other part is, I'd love to give Frost 5, 6, 7 years to finally evaluate him, but you have to have some degree of success, some degree of movement forward. You can't be 3-5 in year 4, and if you are 3-5 in year 4, you had to at least gone 8-4 at least some point before. Nothing it seems to be going, as far as results go, in the right direction. The nuance there is that outside of this last week, you felt like that we're playing better than Frost teams ever had. So maybe there is a possibility in my mind that this past week had to do a lot with Minnesota having a home game, having a week to prepare for it, and then Nebraska having a tragedy within the coaching staff. I mean, those things can actually add up and hurt you in a football game.
It's a complicated discussion, and we'll continue that discussion to some degree with Chris Bassett of the Lincoln Journal-Star. I also want to talk some Husker hoops with him, because Fred Hoiberg did speak to the media. So let's get to Chris Bassett. We'll do that next on Tom and Bock.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
Dancing at weddings, walking the dog, playing with grandchildren. These are the small moments that make life great. They're also the moments that chronic pain steals from us. Don't let chronic pain stop you or a loved one from living life. At MD Pain, we wrote the book on effective, ethical pain management. We offer the most up-to-date treatments from Nebraska's leading physicians. Don't let pain stand in your way. Call MD Pain.
Want a free pair of Nebraska football tickets? Head to theticketfm.com's contest tab and register for a free pair of tickets each week of a home game, courtesy of Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of Woods Brothers and 93.7 The Ticket. Happer and Schaefer.
The concern to me is, what does it tell you if, when the circumstances are as good as they can get for Scott Frost and this staff, and you're still 3-5 after those 8 games?
Yep.
And I don't care, so much of the Bo
I don't know.
Pelini.
There are a lot of people who think you just pull out Adrian and Nebraska goes 8-4,
and I don't think that's true either.
It's definitely not.
I don't care for this part of the conversation either.
Weekday mornings from 8 to 11 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Is your furnace or heat pump ready for winter? Call Bryant to schedule your home heating check. Comfortable, safe, efficient. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating, 467-1111.
Parent-teacher conferences are a key ingredient to your child's academic achievement. I'm Jenny Benson, a teacher and president of the NSEA. Head into your conference with plenty of notes and questions. Share details with the teacher about your child and life at home. Ask about your child's strengths and weaknesses in the classroom, how they interact with classmates, and how you can be supportive. Working together, parents and teachers can help every child succeed.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
Have you been to Barn Wood and Leather, that new furniture store in Lincoln? It's a whole new look. If you like country, you'll love Barnwood and Leather. It's country with a kick. Rustic, yet contemporary. Handcrafted in America from historic reclaimed barnwood and the finest leather. Create your own one-of-a-kind look for a room or your whole home. Come see for yourself at Barnwood and Leather, South 14th and Dahlberg. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
Hi, Sean Callahan here. In 2013, I first came across Koppel Chevrolet GMC in Louisville, and I've been a customer ever since. What's kept me coming back to Koppel is the people. Oftentimes, owner Bob Koppel and his son Brandon are right there with you in the showroom, walking you through the process. There's no runaround at Koppel. It's a hardworking Nebraska company built on honest, small-town values. So make that short drive to Louisville or visit them online at koppelcars.com.
You can search online for hours to find the best electricians in Lincoln and the surrounding area, but I'll save you time. High Electric has been serving their customers for 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They're experts in everything electrical, from remodeling to new additions, hot tub installations, electric vehicle chargers or EV chargers, lighting, ceiling fans, and more. High Electric takes jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at highelectric.com.
Back to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. It's Tom and Bock. Did you get some therapy out of that first segment? You feel a little better getting it off your chest? Please do. Sutter Hammond text line 464-5685 and the Honda of Lincoln hotline. As we welcome in Chris Bassett of the Lincoln Journal-Star. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hi, guys. How are we doing today?
Good. We're talking about positive things like sellout streaks coming to an end and the world burning. But other than that,
that's two pretty drastic things, I would say.
not the world so much as our part of the world, Husker Nation. It feels like there's a lot of angst. But if the sellout streak ends this week and Nebraska is now offering a buy one, get one, is it a big deal? Or does that signal something to you?
It's not a big deal to me. I should preface this by saying I've never been a huge sellout streak guy to begin with. Like it's fine and it's a cool thing to have attached to your name and whatnot. But to me, it's not a big deal. It was going to end eventually, one way or the other. And look, Nebraska fans have been watching a lot of disappointing football the last 20 years. The fact that it's made it this long, I think, speaks to the power of it and to the power of the Nebraska fan base, because there's plenty of reasons for it to stop, long before Scott Frost got here. So, yeah, in my mind, if it ends, it's not a big deal. I think it probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if it did come to an end, because then we can stop talking about it and wringing our hands about it and everything else. So, no, in my mind, I'm probably in the minority on this one, but I don't think it's a big deal.
He's Chris Bassett of the Lincoln Journal-Star, our guest. Somebody asked this on the text line, and I want your response. What if Nebraska were in the Big Ten East? It's been tough enough in the West.
It might be, well, you know what? Played Michigan pretty tough. Played Michigan State pretty tough.
Right.
They'd probably be Indiana, you know, and right. I don't mean that in an insulting way. It's a team with talent that has enough to play those teams tough, but the margins are just so small because the talent level isn't on a same level as an Ohio State or as a Michigan most years. So it would be difficult. It would certainly be tougher than the West. Look, the West, no one wants to win the West this year. It doesn't seem like, anyway. It's wide open. Iowa's obviously got to a good start, but of course they had that performance they had last week. So it's a deal where, yeah, look, it's the tougher half of the conference. There's no doubt about that. And it would be tough sledding for Nebraska. So, yeah, unless the talent level dramatically improved, then
to breathe, but it's just kind of interesting to kind of think of what that environment's going to be like. The buy one get one doesn't give you a good idea that the thing will be sold out, of the stands will be packed. But I mean, it's such a critical game. I mean, we do this every week, but now it feels like it's there. I mean, it is right on the line. If Nebraska just doesn't pull it out against Purdue, what do you think the environment's going to be like around here?
Pretty rough. I think resignation is not the right word, but I think reality has set in a little bit. When you do the same thing over and over and over enough times, I think people finally start to understand it. Like this is who Nebraska is at this point. I think we can say that they're good enough to play a lot of close games, but they haven't figured out how to win them. And whether that's a systemic thing, a culture thing, a scheme thing, a coaching thing, whatever it may be, that's what it is. Nebraska just it can put itself in position to have a chance, but it can't find a way to win these games. And until whatever that problem is gets fixed, it's going to keep happening. And it's happened 22 times now under Scott Frost in 4 years, which tells you that this is what this team is. So, yeah, I don't know. If they lose to Purdue next Saturday, I don't know. What does that mean for Ohio State? You know, do fans still show up for Ohio State? Probably because it's Ohio State. What does it mean for Iowa? I don't know. I think fans still show up just because it's Iowa. So, yeah, it's tough to tell. Look, I think at this point the season is what it is. This team is what it is. And if you're a fan, you just hope they can find a way to win a couple and at least find something positive down the stretch here.
Chris Bassett of the Lincoln Journal-Star is our guest. There have been two games that I think there was more talent on the other side of the field than Nebraska had on their side, Illinois and Minnesota. And you have that comment, culture versus skill from PJ Fleck. He obviously saw it, that Nebraska was the more talented team, but we won this game because of our culture over their skill. Do you take that as a slight to Nebraska? Was that him as a dig, do you think, to the Nebraska program?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think that's what PJ Fleck is talking about is it's not that he doesn't think his players are talented. It's that he thinks they have a really, really, really good culture to go with their talented players. And look, they're down some talented guys. Obviously, they're missing the best running back in the Big Ten, and Mo Ibrahim, and they're missing another running back. They're missing offensive linemen. So it's not like they were at full strength for that game. But I think what PJ Fleck is trying to say is they drill their guys and they instill in their culture that we're going to eliminate the things that allow us to lose these close games. And I think Minnesota's 3-1 in one-score games this year.
Yeah.
So if PJ Fleck has 3 wins in one-score games just this year, and Frost has 5 in 4 seasons, I mean that tells you kind of what he's talking about. I think with culture versus skill, that's where it's at. I think PJ Fleck and his staff. And you can say what you want about him and about his methods and the way he talks and the way he promotes, but their culture that they've instilled gives those guys confidence to win close games, and they're going to be in a lot of them in the Big Ten. So I think that's what it comes down to at the end of it is what he's saying. They're built to win those close games. Nebraska maybe isn't. Certainly all the teams Nebraska plays realize that, and they tell their guys that, and they say, hey, our culture is going to give us a really good chance to win this if we can just stay close. And I think that's what he's talking about at the end of the day.
Yeah, in Nebraska, I mean, the close is the theme. Like you said, it's now kind of what Nebraska is. And Frost keeps saying that. I mean, again, today, it feels a lot better when he says that after Michigan than it does against Minnesota. But, what do you think it is as far as like the missing piece that's there? I mean, is it a skill position? Is it, a pass rusher or something? Or, what people are starting to worry about is it a little bit more coaching up?
Yeah, I don't know that it's any one player or one position. It can't be when it's the same thing that's happened over 4 years because players change and players switch positions, opponents change. The thing that stays the same is the culture, and the culture starts at the top of the coaching staff. So whether it's something in the way this staff approaches, how they're going to handle one-score games, how much do they practice the situations that could allow them to win close games or lose close games. I don't know. We're not in practice. We can't tell that. So you're talking about a coach in Scott Frost who, when he played in college, played in a lot of blowouts. When he coached at Oregon, when he coached at UCF, played in a lot of blowouts. He often wasn't coaching in close games. So maybe that's a part of it too. I don't know. I'm just trying to spitball just like you guys are. But, at the end of the day, there's something there, whatever it is, that isn't clicking, that isn't connecting with this team, with this staff, with this culture, and that's what it comes down to in these close games.
He's Chris Bassett of the Lincoln Journal-Star. Fred Hoiberg spoke to the media yesterday, as did Wilhelm Breidenbach. You also had Lat Mayon. What stuck out to you yesterday?
It's just funny, that They're just it was the old line. Well, we're just sick of beating on each other, and it's funny because if there was any team that needed to spend a lot of time together, it was probably Nebraska after last year, and with all the new guys coming in, they have to mesh in. But I think it just illustrates how long the preseason is. 6 weeks essentially of practice before you can play a game. So they're ready to play somebody else. The best way to get better is to play somebody else. You can drill against yourselves all you want, but when you start in the beginning of June and you have your workouts through July, and then you start up again at the end of September, and then you beat on each other for 6 weeks, that gets old. And it's only human nature. Fred said it, and the players said it too. So it's a grind, and it can also be a valuable teaching point too, because I think it teaches these guys that you just have to lock in and you have to be consistent. That was the word Lat Mayen used yesterday. You just have to. It's a job at the end of the day, and you have to be consistent in your approach, consistent in the way you handle things in practice. So these guys are ready to see somebody else. Thankfully, we get an exhibition game here in a week, and we'll finally get to see them on the court, and they can see a different uniform.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting just to get those exhibition games. I want to ask you about that Colorado one and kind of the environment you expect to see there on Halloween Day. I think that's just a recipe for a very fun time.
Yeah, it should be a good time. The 11 a.m. tip, you can get there early and then go trick-or-treating with your kids and whatnot. It's obviously an old Big 8, Big 12 rival. It's a pretty good team, too. Let's not forget that. It's a team that made the NCAA tournament last year and should be pretty good again this year. So, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that one. Peru State will be what it'll be. We all know Nebraska's probably going to win that one by a pretty wide margin. But Colorado, it's almost going to be like a regular season game because you're going to be facing a really high-quality opponent on Halloween, which people like to get weird on Halloween. We all know that. And it's going to feel more like a regular season game, I think. So that's going to be a fun one for sure.
Have you made up your mind? I mean, obviously, we're still thinking about a starting five, and I think we have that nailed down. Who's the best player on this team, real quickly?
Oh, boy, good question. Right now, I'll probably say Trey McGowan's right now, but I reserve the right to change that opinion.
Yeah, and then not his brother, the 5-stars. I mean, the most talented player, it's an easy answer, right? Bryce McGowan's. But the best player is a little more complicated. You could argue 5 different guys as the best player.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I think there's a lot of depth in this team. That's something Fred Hoiberg's talked about. They've got a lot of options to choose from.
It should be fun. 1 week away from exhibition time in that Colorado game on the 31st. It's going to be really fun. Chris Baston, who covers the Husker basketball team and football team and baseball team for the Lincoln Journal-Star. Great stuff. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time.
There you go, Chris Baston. Let's get to break. Come back with the blog jog. We'll do it next.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
Hi, Sean Callahan here. In 2013, I first came across Koppel Chevrolet GMC in Louisville, and I've been a customer ever since. What's kept me coming back to Koppel is the people. Oftentimes, owner Bob Koppel and his son Brandon are right there with you in the showroom, walking you through the process. There's no runaround at Koppel. It's a hardworking Nebraska company built on honest, small-town values. So make that short drive to Louisville or visit them online at koppelcars.com.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Hi, this is Kurt, your shop manager at A1 Automotive here in downtown Lincoln. My promise to you is this: you won't find another automotive repair facility that genuinely cares about you and your vehicle. Our service is outstanding and our customer service is better. Please give me a call for all your automotive repair questions and needs. Call me at 402-477-4660. We were built on small town values, and that shows in how we treat others. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Have you been to Barn Wood and Leather, that new furniture store in Lincoln? It's a whole new look. If you like country, you'll love Barn Wood and Leather. It's country with a kick. Rustic, yet contemporary. Handcrafted in America from historic reclaimed barnwood and the finest leather. Create your own one-of-a-kind look for a room or your whole home. Come see for yourself at Barn Wood and Leather, South 14th and Dahlberg. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Sponsored by Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, Tractor Supply Distribution Center, T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Planet Fitness, Barnwood and Leather, and Vitalize Health.
You can search online for hours to find the best electricians in Lincoln and the surrounding area, but I'll save you time. High Electric has been serving their customers for 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They're experts in everything electrical, from remodeling to new additions, hot tub installations, electric vehicle chargers or EV chargers, lighting, ceiling fans, and more. High Electric takes jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at highelectric.com.
Dreaming of the perfect kitchen? More room for entertaining? Today, the Johnsons got both and saved by consolidating their debt. With a home equity line of credit, you can borrow money as you need it, have flexible payment options, and pay interest on only the money you're using. If you have equity in your home, the possibilities are endless with a home equity line of credit. What will you decide to do? Get started by visiting LibertyFirstCU.com today. Approval required. Equal opportunity lender. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose.
Welcome back, Husker fans. Eustace Body Shop is happy to welcome the best fans in college football back to Lincoln. With gold-class certified service, OEM parts, and free loaner cars, Eustace Body Shop can call the right plays to keep you in the game. Whether it's in Lincoln at 88th and Highway 2 or at any of our other 5 locations across Nebraska, Eustace Body Shop can help get you back on the road. Go Big Red.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Grab yourself a hot dog, pour a glass of eggnog, and settle in. This is the Blog Jug on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It is Blog Jug time. Rico is here. He's wearing the Knicks jersey, the Mellow jersey, back when he was in New York, number 7.
Melo's LaMelo now, so you have to say Carmelo.
Is he? We can't call him Mello anymore?
Well, LaMelo is Mello.
Bock has so many rules I can't keep track all the time, and Rico's just shaking his head over there in absolute disgust. I want to ask you this about both you guys. You watch the Celtics, you watch the Knicks. It's opening night. It's a big night. Do you have things prepared, popcorn ready, phone at the side ready to tweet?
My phone's always at my side when I'm watching a game.
Do you have a special place that you sit, a snack that you eat?
Nope.
All right.
I'll usually whether it's the play.
I don't do anything special for the game. I turn on the game and I want to watch it. And you know, I don't have anything special planned for the game because the last couple of seasons with the Knicks not being great, they have not been on national television. They've just been on like Madison Square Garden Network, like MSG Network, and just in the New York local market. So I haven't been able to watch them because I don't have NBA League Pass because I'm not going to pay for it.
That's right.
Cheap
like I am as well.
So I haven't been able to
watch a bad Knicks team.
So I haven't been able to watch them. So I don't have anything special.
Well, tonight you'll be able to see them. Celtics at the Knicks, 6:30 ESPN.
They're wearing their retro jerseys.
Special.
They're wearing their retro jerseys.
Good.
It's exciting.
I thought you guys wore your jerseys today, and I was going to wear my jersey. I forgot, but quite honestly. But when they win tonight, I'll be wearing the jersey.
If they lose, I want you to wear it tomorrow.
What's your jersey? You got a Larry Bird?
I do.
Nice.
I do have a Larry. I'm not going to bring in the Larry, though.
No.
Tom, when they lose, I want you to wear it tomorrow. I still want you to wear it.
They're not going to lose.
They're going to lose, but
Knicks,
I still want you to wear it.
The Knicks are a 1.5-point favorite in that game.
Oh, so they're favored.
Yep.
They're at home.
Which is the curse of the Knicks.
Is it? I don't think they've been favored lately.
Well, they've been cursed for the last.
What other
30
Celtics
years.
jerseys do you have? Do you have the rule that you can't get one of a guy that's younger than you?
No, I wouldn't wear.
Then he wouldn't be wearing many Celtics jerseys.
That's right.
Well, no, yeah, but that's a rule that a lot of adult men have. You have to have somebody from your childhood or
but that's dumb.
A retro jersey.
That's dumb.
You have a jersey of somebody younger than you?
I'm planning on getting a Mitchell Robinson jersey.
I think it's a little weird that people in their 60s were wearing Eric Crouch jerseys back in the day. Back in the day.
Do you really think that's weird? Do people really think that's weird?
I think it's weird, like maybe in your
I've
40s.
heard-
Once you get old, like 60 and 70, go ahead and enjoy your youth.
I've
again,
heard people say like I've heard like some fathers say like my children, they're athletic fathers, so they're like in their own sports. They're like, my children will not be wearing jerseys with another man's name on their back. Like,
yeah,
what if it's their favorite? Like, what if your son is a fan of LeBron James? You're not gonna give him a LeBron James jersey.
No.
Like, if your son's a fan of LaMelo Ball, you're not gonna get him one of those. Like,
well, and it's cool again for kids, like college kids, to wear basketball jerseys. For a while, that was not cool, but now it's cool again, and so they can do that. But once you're like 25, or you just want to kind of take yourself more seriously. It's kind of weird to have a jersey.
It's not weird
to look up to a guy that's your age or the same.
I don't think that's weird.
A little younger.
I don't think that's weird.
I have a Tarkenton jersey, but he is older than me,
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm allowed to wear a Fran Tarkenton jersey. But it is a kind of a bad rule. But
It's
I
a
kind of
dumb,
agree
it's
with.
a dumb rule, and if you agree with it, you're dumb.
All right, Rico.
Because like then you're just wearing super old jerseys all the time. Like
Yeah,
you're
those
not
are
going to
cool.
enjoy the fact that somebody like so you're telling me if you're a Bucks fan and you're 30, you're not going to get a Giannis jersey because he's one of the better players in our franchise history. He just brought us a
You
championship.
have to wear your
for the
Glenn
first-
Robinson
for the
until
first
you're
time in
60.
50 years, and I'm not going to get a jersey for about his jersey because he's younger than me. That's a dumb rule.
I think it's a dumb rule because you should be able to do whatever you want and have fun. But I do understand why some people would have a problem.
It's a dumb rule, but I agree with that.
But
Look,
I also
if
understand it.
If your rule is you can't, you can get the jersey, just don't wear it out in public all the time. I get that. But just getting the jersey and like wearing it at home or just like having it for yourself, like just having it, like that's fine. You can buy it. But if you're saying like a 38-year-old man shouldn't have a 23-year-old guy's jersey and wear it out in public all the time, then yeah, whatever. I guess do whatever you want. But it's stupid.
It's an unwritten rule
Jerseys-
in
yeah.
sports.
But jerseys used to be more expensive too. Now you can find other sites that allow you to get cheaper
Yeah.
jerseys.
Like a
So
40
yeah, nobody cares you spend $25 on anything. But if you're spending like $80 to wear a jersey of a guy with the last name, that's different than yours, that's younger than you, that's kind of weird. But if it's $25, do whatever you want.
You get a game worn jersey. Is that still weird?
I can't keep
That
up
is
with all
very
these
weird.
rules.
I don't like that one.
What's in the blog?
I like
Doc?
the game worn jerseys if they're signed, but if it's just a game worn jersey, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
This guy's sweat on
Oh.
it. I really like this one. Smell it.
Blog jug stuff.
Blog jug stuff. Sorry,
Blog jug, yeah.
sorry. Tom.
No, I mean that was a good conversation. I enjoyed that.
A man, this comes from Today UK News. A man is baffled after landing in hot water for starting on time at his new job. He was scheduled to work at 10 a.m. He showed up at 10 a.m. and started working. His boss pulled him aside a couple minutes into his shift. He works in security. And his boss said, "You need to show up early for your shift."
That's
and
right.
the man said, "No, I'm getting paid to be here at 10. I will get here and start at 10.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not early, I mean, my dad was like that. If you're not early, you're late. I get that. As far as dates or church or work, I always like to be here early. Obviously,
Because something can happen along the way that
Yeah.
will ruin. Yeah.
yeah.
that
But
you
if you
meet late.
clock in on time, you're good.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You shouldn't
Yeah.
get mad. Nobody should get
Like
punished.
I'm sure he's showing up like a minute or two and then clocking in like at 10, but his boss wants him to show up earlier and
Yeah,
start
no.
working earlier.
Right.
And he said, "I'm getting paid to start work at 10. I'm starting work at 10."
I remember
Good for
working
him.
at a place called Bumper Recyclers. We recycled bumpers, car bumpers back in the day.
Yeah.
They don't really do that anymore, but we had to fix them and then polish them and then ship them out to auto body shops. But a buddy that worked with me, I mean, he would get there at 8 when we started, but then he would use the bathroom. And then, he would hang out by the snack bar and have 20 minutes of conversation. Then, finally he was back in the shop where we worked by 8:30. There are a lot of, so if you're annoyed by that, I can understand.
That makes sense.
There are employees that get annoyed by that.
Yeah.
Like if you're not early, you could have done all that stuff if you just show up early and then still be doing your job on time.
Yeah, that's understandable. But that's the best part of working is signing, signing in and then doing something like an errand or something that
Right.
you normally aren't getting paid for. And you're like, well, at least I'm getting paid for this
Yeah.
right now.
Right.
Like, I got to run to the
Yeah.
store. Let me
Or when you
just
go to
stay
the
clocked
bathroom on the clock.
Right.
Very
You're
good time.
Pooping on company time.
Yeah, that's right.
You're pooping on company time, and that's okay.
You're getting paid to sit on the toilet. It's pretty good.
You got to go when you got to go.
That's just the little victories you have against the man.
Yeah.
Pretty good gig.
My favorite Seinfeld episode is when George builds the hollow into the desk so he can sleep.
That's right.
So his boss always sees his car in the parking lot, so he thinks he's always working.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. That's what we should all do. Just have beds in our offices. That'd be good.
I don't want to stay here.
Just so you can take a nap. You would take a nap during the day if you could.
I've
wouldn't
done
you?
it before.
Yeah, that's right. On
Sleep
company
deprived,
time.
yeah.
That's right.
Let's try something new.
Yeah.
20-second story. Go.
That's right.
Japanese man arrested for forcing his pet cat to swim.
That's all. I
That's
need.
really that's
Cats
really
should
all
be
you
able
need.
to swim.
I want to do that. Make that a tradition. The 20-second story.
Yeah. Quick
from
reaction.
Rico
Quick story.
at the end of the blog jog. Great
Okay.
stuff as always. Let's get the break. Come back with box tops. We'll do it next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
Hi, this is Kurt, your shop manager at A1 Automotive here in downtown Lincoln. My promise to you is this: you won't find another automotive repair facility that genuinely cares about you and your vehicle. Our service is outstanding and our customer service is better. Please give me a call for all your automotive repair questions and needs. Call me at 402-477-4660. We were built on small town values, and that shows in how we treat others. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Welcome back, Husker fans. Eustace Body Shop is happy to welcome the best fans in college football back to Lincoln. With gold class certified service, OEM parts, and free loaner cars, Eustace Body Shop can call the right plays to keep you in the game. Whether it's in Lincoln at 88th and Highway 2 or at any of our other 5 locations across Nebraska, Eustace Body Shop can help get you back on the road. Go Big Red.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Tractor Supply Distribution Center in Waverly is now hiring for all shifts. They're a 24/7 facility and a clean environment to work in. There's potential to earn up to $25.25 per hour with opportunities for overtime. They also offer a retention bonus as new team members are eligible for a bonus as high as $1,000. Come be a part of the Tractor Supply team. Apply today at www.tractorsupply.jobs.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
Hi, Sean Callahan here. In 2013, I first came across Koppel Chevrolet GMC in Louisville, and I've been a customer ever since. What's kept me coming back to Koppel is the people. Oftentimes, owner Bob Koppel and his son Brandon are right there with you in the showroom, walking you through the process. There's no runaround at Koppel. It's a hardworking Nebraska company built on honest, small-town values. So make that short drive to Louisville or visit them online at koppelcars.com.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Join the whole Ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Sponsored by Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, Tractor Supply Distribution Center, T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Planet Fitness, Barnwood and Leather, and Vitalize Health.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com. Breakfast tacos, brisket tacos, pork tacos, chicken tacos. You hungry yet? I can keep going. Pork or chicken, queso nachos, queso mac and cheese, hatch mac burritos. Now you're salivating. Muchachos is Lincoln's premier New Mexico barbecue fusion restaurant. And you can't miss them in their bright blue building. Pair that great food with delicious coffee for breakfast and a variety of local and national beers on tap the rest of the day. Order your food online at yomuchacho.com or visit them in person at Muchachos on South 11th Street between L and K Streets.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Coppell Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
Hey, what day is it?
To my knowledge, Wednesday.
Well, we're happier than a camel on Wednesday, baby.
Jake Bockelman.
Coach told me when we're in Rome, we do as Romans. And when we're in Italy, we do as Italyans. So Italyans, they eat pizza after the games.
Tom and Bock starts now.
Hour number 2 of Tom and Bock. I'm Tom Stevens. He's Jake Bachhoven. Together we are Tom and Bock. Here till 2 o'clock, as we are every weekday, and then it's the happy hour. The guys will be in here for the pregame at about 1:50 this morning. You've got your Celtics gear on right now.
Yeah.
I've got some Celtics gear at home. Rico has his Knicks gear on. Made me think about this story. An original Grateful Dead T-shirt sold at auction from 1967, sold for $17,640 at Sotheby's. Is that how you pronounce it? Sotheby's?
Yes, in the wrong guy. I don't know about that one.
Sotheby's. It's an auction site. It breaks the record for the most expensive vintage rock T-shirt sold at auction. And it made me think, because you don't have a lot of memorabilia. How much would you pay? Who's your favorite player currently? KD?
No. Probably Rondo, I guess.
Rondo. I mean, why is it still Rondo?
Rondo's always been one of my favorite players from his Celtics days.
Yeah, I know, but back then he was winning championships, or at least he won one.
Hey, he won a championship a couple years ago.
Oh, that's right. Well, I don't count the one with the Lakers.
He was like their third or fourth best player in that run.
Well, because I don't like the Lakers. I don't count the one with the Lakers.
Well, that's fair.
And I would certainly never want memorabilia from Rondo in a Lakers outfit.
I would. It's pretty cool.
Oh, it's just terrible. I see. I think the younger generation accepts that more, that you can be a star with me and then go play for another team.
For my rival, though.
For my rival?
Yeah.
For a Laker? I mean, for a Celtic fan to say it's okay for Rondo to win a championship, which it is with the Celtics, and then go win one with the Lakers.
Well, the Celtics traded him, though. It's not like he left, and it was a lot of years in between it.
That's all details. That doesn't matter. The fact is that he won the championship with somebody else, and that's hard for me to swallow. But there's no way I'd pay $17,000 for any memorabilia.
This was a Grateful Dead shirt. Was it worn by a band member, or is this just worn at a concert?
I don't know where it was. It was sold at auction, 1967 T-shirt. So maybe at a concert or something like that, where somebody originally bought it. It was actually twice as much as a Led Zeppelin T-shirt. And I think of Zeppelin as way better than the Grateful Dead. Jerry Garcia's not even around anymore. I think most of Zeppelin's guys are. Most of the few that died aren't here. From Zeppelin.
That's how it works.
Yeah, that kind of tends to be the case. I just made me think. I always think about these topics when someone spends a lot of money for some Air Jordans, or buys a Larry Bird,
it's a memorabilia stuff.
Kobe or whatever, and it just seems like, man, you have a lot of money if you can spend $17,000 on a T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to put yourself in a position where money is not an issue, because you and I aren't going to do that. We're not really memorabilia guys to begin with, but I'm always fascinated to see kind of what the bidding process, kind of what sells for the higher priced items, and like I always want to know more details, like why do you care so much? Why is this something? I mean, did your family member wear this at the concert or something? Is there something more than just money attached to this? Because I mean, to me, that's got to be like a band member had to wear it. If it's just worn at the concert by
if Jerry Garcia is wearing a T-shirt and he takes it off because he's all sweaty and throws it in to the crowd and it's all sweaty, that's cool.
See, that's the other part I have with like game worn jerseys and stuff like that. I think the element of having them have touched it or like worn it or their sweat getting on it. That's kind of that crosses the line of what of what I will do to bow down to another human being and say you're so much better than me that just your sweat on a shirt I will pay $17,000 for.
They are
That's
better than us,
disgusting.
Bock. They're way better.
They're
than us.
not that much better than us. They're people. They have eyes, legs, arms. They did something that was they're pretty good, but they're just humans. They're not that great.
Freaking Jerry Garcia, who's still dead, by the way, and now you have his T-shirt. Theoretically, I don't know where the T-shirt if he actually wore it, but it did sell for $17,600 at auction. This off the text line 464-5685. OG Les Lancaster says, "You're a Celtics fan? Have you ever been to Boston? I lived in Boston. A couple of years. Had a good time. Lived on You know where I lived, Boston?
Where is that?
On Mass Avenue, just off of Mass Avenue, the main street.
That sounds like you're making it up.
Going through it's Massachusetts Avenue,
right? Yeah,
it goes
through where Boston is.
That's right. That's where Boston is. I lived on St. Stephen Street.
You are making it up. Yes.
No, I'm telling you, it was such a cool place. There were 4 pizza places, and you could get pizza for $1, and I just lived on pizza. And there are these big slices of pizza.
They're good. Like Boston has good pizzas.
Yeah. It was really good. I thought it was. How do you know? All pizza's good.
Yeah,
the bad pizza is good.
You know if pizza's bad, you can't really say if it's good.
But the Boston Pops were right just down the street, and I went to the stadium all the time. I went to Fenway all the time to see games. It was great. It was a fun time to be alive. Yeah, so that's why I was actually a Celtics fan before that. I've told the story before. Kansas City Omaha Kings fan growing up. Sam Lacey, Nate Archibald, Ernie Grunfeld, all those guys. And then they left. They went to Sacramento. And so I tried to become a Sacramento fan for a couple of years, and it just didn't work out. I fell in love with Larry Bird in college at Indiana State. That thing against Magic, of course, the championship game.
Oh, yeah.
That was fantastic. And then the rivals throughout. When he was drafted by Boston, I just became a Boston fan.
Yeah, that's fine. And the 80s, that was probably a fun time.
Yeah. St. Stephen's is a famous Grateful Dead song, according to Corey. Did not know that.
You related to St. Stephen's?
No.
No,
not related to.
Probably
not. Shane makes a point. Not all pizza is good.
Yeah. You've had bad pizza before.
But you know what?
It's all the same ingredients.
When you
mostly.
throw a bad frozen pizza in the oven, and 20 minutes later you're devouring it. It doesn't matter. It could be a Totino's terrible.
Totino's that's great. Don't talk bad about Totino's. I love those
Totino's are
things.
terrible.
That's what I grew up on.
They're $1, right?
Yeah.
They were like $1.
That tastes like my childhood.
Right. My childhood as well. My parents used to go out to dinner and they would say, "Oh, kids, there's plenty of Totino's pizza in the freezer." And they were going to some fancy
You're
pants
right. The kids don't care. They go, "Pizza!" And it's like $1 to get it.
And that's the thing. You get your 5-year-old hooked on Totino's pizza. They don't know what good pizza is, after they taste it. So they're screwed for the rest of their life as far as pizza is concerned. Well, until they become an adult and they remember, okay, this is what it should taste like.
There's a place that's known for quick pizza that my mom found a deal. It was like, "Oh, this is a good deal. I'm gonna get this pizza," and she got it, and then she didn't like it. She brought it back. She said, "There's something wrong with this pizza. You have to remake it for me." And they remade it for her and gave it back to her. And she said, "This pizza's still bad." They said, "That's the whole idea. It's quick pizza."
Right.
And so I don't think she ever went back.
As long as we're getting on the pizza train, this always goes somewhere. 464-5685, the Sutter Heyman text line. Bock is right. Totino's is great. And then we have the argument from somebody else that their pizza is not so good. It's not very good, but when it's your first experience with pizza, you're thinking, hey, that tastes kind of like pizza. So it's pretty good. And it's what we used to eat on a Friday night. And then I remember, gradually getting the better pizzas, maybe a Red Baron.
Yeah.
And now the pizzas that
DiGiorno's.
Yeah. Those are they try to make those actually like a pizza.
Yeah.
Where you make it and it feels like, oh, this could be a delivered pizza. None of the pizzas I had growing up were close to that.
Yeah.
So
what do you think about we're trying to avoid talking about certain brands, but I'll go ahead and say it. What do you think about Domino's? Domino's had this phase where their pizza wasn't very good, but then a few years ago they I think they fixed it. I like Domino's Pizza.
I like
now.
Domino's Pizza.
Yeah.
That whole thing, that ad campaign was brilliant, by the way. Like, we've screwed up our pizza for years. We know it.
Yeah.
The pizza has been lousy. It's been, we admit it. We made a different recipe.
Yes, this has been awful.
This is actually,
we're trying something new.
Yeah. We admit to the past being terrible, and we had terrible pizza. You should try our pizza now because it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. And they're right now. I like Domino's.
Yeah, and we still deliver it all the same way. And that's the one of the things that you liked about Domino's. The delivery was always good, no matter what time you ordered it. You could get it at a reasonable price, and they kept those things. The price is still good, but the pizza's actually better. I think that was a brilliant.
Who thought of that? Who thought of that within the corporation?
Yeah, I mean, to actually be honest and tell the truth, who thought of that idea? Rod says he loves Domino's Pizza.
Yeah, I know that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles used to. I mean, back in the movies, they used to eat Domino's, I think.
Right.
But that was the bad.
Domino's. I see you grew up in that era. This is old guy, young guy speaking once again. I mentored some kids that like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they would go as Halloween, and sometimes you'd take them around. And that's what they would be dressed like. But that's what, 25 years old? Is it?
Yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, they had new iterations of it, but
see, my cartoons were always. I started out with the Scooby-Doo, the original Scooby-Doo, and the Globetrotters, and Batman and Robin, the original, that type of thing. But so I wasn't in that wheelhouse of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and so I knew who they were, but
their pizza always. Did you see the cartoons? Or just even when they redo pizza, it's like the cheese is falling off, and it just looks delicious.
It does look delicious.
And then in real life, it doesn't. If the cheese is falling everywhere, it's kind of a mess. It's too hot. You can't eat it.
Little Caesars used to have the commercials where it was always dripping off like that.
Oh, yeah.
The animated Little Caesars commercials were just brilliant, but the pizza wasn't always fantastic. I think it's okay now. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Pizza.
Yeah, that was a brilliant campaign as well.
Yeah, there's some smart minds in the pizza world.
Nick Rolovic, the Washington State head coach, is taking legal action against the school following his termination on Monday. Wonder if he has a case, but probably not. He was trying to get a religious exemption, and that looks like it's not going to happen. He got fired despite winning these last 3 games, I believe. They won 3 in a row, and 4 coaches as well. Let's get to box tops. Are we ready?
We're ready.
All right.
All right. Today I am ranking the point total for Nebraska under Scott Frost against opponents. So there's going to be 13 teams here. Obviously, 14 teams in the Big Ten. Nebraska is one of them. Should I go from should I start with the good and end with the bad, or start with the bad and end with the good?
Oh, start with the bad and end with the good.
All right. The worst opponent that Scott Frost has played so far, the worst outcome so far, has been Ohio State. He's 0-3, obviously, against Ohio State. They lost by 5, 41, and 35. So that leaves a grand total of minus 81 in their 3 games against Ohio State. 0-2 versus Ryan Day.
Wow.
So that's the worst it is. But that's kind of to be expected.
Yeah, that's expected.
The next worst point total is Michigan. Now, this is only in 2 games. Obviously played well against them 2 weeks ago, but the whole talk was the stark difference between that game and the game in 2018 when they lost by 46. So the next worst point total for Frost against a team is Michigan, 0-2 against Harbaugh, 0-2 against the Wolverines, minus 49 in the point category.
And that's with a really close loss.
Yeah, with one really close loss.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing that it's still minus 49. And you probably should have won one of those.
Well, the first one was a beatdown.
Yeah, it was a really big beatdown.
Number 3 on my list is Wisconsin. Again, only played them twice. These games weren't necessarily close, though, both of them. Within range, but not close. So minus 17 in 1 year, minus 16 another. 0-2 against Paul Chris. That's a grand total of negative 33 points against the Badgers.
This is a happy list. I'm liking it.
That's not really a happy list, but it's kind of interesting.
It is interesting. I enjoy it.
I got some numbers at the end, too,
to
also be a little bit more interesting.
Okay.
Number 4 on my list is actually Minnesota. And this, maybe from here on, you feel a little bit better because there's 3 teams, I guess, there that you could say put some space between you. The rest of it kind of tells the story of the Frost era, where a lot of these point spreads aren't too far off. Minnesota, you've played them now 4 times, and you've the first win was big, 25 points. The loss the next year, the loss was pretty bad, 27 points. And then each of the last 2 years, you've lost by 7. So that's a grand total of minus 16 points, 1-3, however, against Minnesota and Coach Fleck.
And they probably should be 2-2, right? You feel like two of those games, and maybe even last year, you probably could have won the last year's game. You lost 24-17.
Yeah.
This year's game felt like you could have won, or you could have gotten blown out.
Fleck, maybe more than anybody, feels like he's outcoached Frost in the matchups.
Yeah. And then he goes up and he whispers in our quarterback's ear, which really makes me mad.
We heard audio the other day of what he said. It was not, hey, we got an open spot for you.
I don't believe
Adrian.
it.
Come on,
I don't believe it. I think the audio was really bad, and people are lying about what was actually said to Adrian Martinez. Nobody's actually asked him at a press conference what PJ said, right?
Well, again,
Verbatim?
you can hear it on the. There was somebody on the field
Well,
that got the audio.
I think there was something more to it. I'm not happy about that.
Number 5 on my list, Iowa. Frost is obviously 0-3 against Iowa, but those losses have been close. They only lost by 3 twice and 6 the last time they fought.
All right.
So grand total -12, 0-3 against Ferris.
I mean, you can make the argument. I mean, that's the big argument with Scott Frost is things are getting better. Look at the close games, all the close games he plays in.
Yeah.
17 of them.
A lot of close games.
Yeah.
A lot of close games.
Yeah.
Those are just the losses. He's got some wins there.
That's right.
Too.
That's right.
Just ranking Scott Frost against Big Ten opponents based on the total points. Number 6 on the list. There are a few teams that he only played once, but still the points factor. And so a 7-point loss to Indiana in 2019 is good for 6 on this list.
Was that 38-31? Was that the 38-31 game?
I believe so, yeah.
That felt like a game that you probably should have won.
They didn't start Martinez that day, though.
Noah Vedral, I believe, started
Yeah.
that game, and McCaffrey came in as well. I think, did Adrian come in that game out of necessity late?
I have to remember.
I don't remember, but I know it was 38-31, and that felt like, man, you're losing to Indiana. But Indiana turned out to be decent.
Yeah. Number 7 on the list, 4 points total of loss versus Purdue. That's in 3 games, 1-2 against Purdue and Coach Brum. They lost by 14 the first year, 4 the next year, won by 10 last year, obviously, and still have a matchup with them in a couple weeks.
Nice.
Yeah. So Purdue's not too bad. Number 8 on the list, this is the one that jumps around quite a bit, is Illinois. Illinois, your point total is -3, but that's from a few different outcomes here. They won their first 2 battles, Scott Frost did, against Illinois and Coach Lovie Smith by 19 points and by 4 points. Of course, lost that embarrassing game last year to Lovie Smith and didn't help Lovie. They still fired him, but they lost by 18, and then this year they lost by 8. So that's a grand total of -3. Of course, just 0-1 against Brett Bielema.
The Illinois losses in general are just the worst. Man, those are the losses that are just the hardest to swallow.
They really are. Those 2 losses might be some of the worst in Frost's tenure. Yeah,
just terrible. I mean, you think how could you have done that, and then you watch the game and you go, oh yeah, that's the way it always happens. But that was worse than any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, a fired coach beat him,
Yeah.
and now Brett Bielema, who is calling out his offensive line, saying there's nothing
Right.
there.
Yeah, he's saying that we don't have anybody on our roster that's very good.
Yeah, he said that this week.
Yeah, he did.
And they still beat Nebraska in week 0.
That's right.
Number 9 on the list, Michigan State, only played them twice. They won by 3, of course, maybe Scott Frost's best win at Nebraska in 2018, and then lost by 3 this year, 0-1 against Mel Tucker. But overall, just 0. So it's a 1-1. Nobody has a point advantage.
Right.
But, except for Mel Tucker, who's beaten Scott Frost twice, if you go up into that. But
Right, but Nebraska was the better team in this year's game, certainly, and against Colorado, I thought, when they lost to Mel Tucker before, a couple of years ago. But it doesn't seem to matter. They can't win on the scoreboard.
Yeah, let's get into the positive category. There are 4 teams that Scott Frost has played and has more points than in his tenure at Nebraska. Let's start with Rutgers. Of course, they just played once last year at the end of the season. So 7, they won that one by 7. So 1-0 against Greg Schiano, 1-0 against Rutgers, and 7 points up on them. Take that, Scarlet Knights.
Well, that was the best game Nebraska played last year.
Yeah.
Was against Rutgers, I thought. And it was also horribly played at times. I mean, Adrian had his best game, but he had 2 interceptions. What, 26 of 28?
That second half was really good.
Yeah, with 28, he was 26 of 28, 2 interceptions, and then he ran for a bunch of yards, but also had a couple of fumbles.
Twice,
Yeah.
Number 11 on my list, you could argue the best win last year was Rutgers or Penn State, who they beat by 7. Of course, Luke McCaffrey started that game, but the defense mostly won that game. So 1-0 against Coach Franklin, 1-0 against Penn State.
Yeah, that's the best win under Scott Frost, despite the fact that Penn State wasn't good last year.
Yeah, it could be.
That's probably the best win.
The way that they've turned it around this year.
I mean, that team is at least really talented. Penn State was really talented.
Number 12 on my list, Northwestern. Of course, Nebraska has fared pretty well against them. Actually, just 2-2 against Northwestern under Frost. So they lost by 3, won by 3, lost by 8, and then of course this year it was a bunch of close games. Then they won by 49. So it looks pretty good. So overall, the point spread plus 41 on Northwestern.
Nice. It looks really good.
It looks good. Yeah, Northwestern. You suck, even though we can only beat you half the time.
56-7 helps that point differential a lot.
Yeah. And then the number 1 point differential was just took one time. Coach Loxley in Maryland did not fare well against Nebraska. 47-point winner. Nebraska was 54-7 in 2019.
I keep forgetting that we've only played Maryland one time.
Yeah.
We need to play Maryland more often.
So Coach Frost overall 10-21 in conference games so far. That's good for 48. That's not very good.
So if they could just play Rutgers, Maryland, and Northwestern, you might have a chance.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. Do you want to know his record against current coaches
I do.
in the Big Ten?
I do.
Well, depending on if you count in Big Ten games, he's 7-19, 7-20 if you count Coach Tucker's win in Colorado against current Big Ten coaches. That's not very good. And then how about down the stretch? Of course, you have Purdue, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Iowa left. Maybe a reason why people aren't too enthusiastic about that is in those coaching matchups against Brom Day and Kristen Ferentz, you're 1-9.
Not good. That's for sure. But if they do go 3-1,
we were talking before the show too, and he said they have to at least win 2. Yeah, at least have to get to 5.
I know, and it
sounds kind of silly.
That's kind of where we are.
That's where you have to be
now, football. Yeah. It's sad that we're at that point, but it's where we are. So we'll talk about it on this show all the time. Let's get to break though. In the meantime, and come back with we want to go through Nebraska's roster. I know it's one of the things you want to talk about. Guys potentially leaving next year or potentially staying. Where will Nebraska's roster, what will it look like essentially next year? We'll talk about it next on Tom and Bock.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
Hi, this is Kurt, your shop manager at A1 Automotive here in downtown Lincoln. My promise to you is this: you won't find another automotive repair facility that genuinely cares about you and your vehicle. Our service is outstanding and our customer service is better. Please give me a call for all your automotive repair questions and needs. Call me at 402-477-4660. We were built on small town values, and that shows in how we treat others. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
The weather has changed, and now it's time to adjust your footwear to change along with it. Stop into Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q to get ready for cooler temperatures and fashion trends. They're stocked with Hey Dudes, Brooks, New Balance, Danner boots, Keen or Merrill hiking boots, and plenty of other options. Plus, they have Nordic beach jackets and bindle tumblers to take to the gym with your new athletic shoes. So get to Brown's Shoe Fit today at 66th and Q.
Lay the groundwork for more harvesting capacity when you order new John Deere combines and headers during Landmark Implement's early order program. Whether you're looking to improve your existing combine, corn head, or flex draper, or you've been wanting to update to a new model year, now is the time to upgrade. Get the very latest harvesting equipment and technology that fit your operations needs. Get your new John Deere harvest equipment built just the way you want. Contact your local Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
Breakfast tacos, brisket tacos, pork tacos, chicken tacos. You hungry yet? I can keep going. Pork or chicken, queso nachos, queso mac and cheese, hatch mac burritos. Now you're salivating. Muchachos is Lincoln's premier New Mexico barbecue fusion restaurant, and you can't miss them in their bright blue building. Pair that great food with delicious coffee for breakfast and a variety of local and national beers on tap the rest of the day. Order your food online at yomuchacho.com or visit them in person at Muchachos on South 11th Street between L and K Streets.
Hi, Sean Callahan here. In 2013, I first came across Koppel Chevrolet GMC in Louisville, and I've been a customer ever since. What's kept me coming back to Koppel is the people. Oftentimes, owner Bob Koppel and his son Brandon are right there with you in the showroom, walking you through the process. There's no runaround at Koppel. It's a hardworking Nebraska company built on honest, small-town values. So make that short drive to Louisville or visit them online at koppelcars.com.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket, sponsored by Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, Tractor Supply Distribution Center, T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Planet Fitness, Barnwood and Leather, and Vitalize Health. Back to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It is Tom and Bock. I'm Tom Stevens. He's Jake Bockhoven off the text line. Ray says this: I love how Pat Fitzgerald talks to Adrian after the game, and we're all like, what a class act. But Fleck does it, and we're like, stay away from our quarterback.
That's right.
That's kind of how I feel. I trust Pat Fitzgerald. I don't trust PJ Fleck.
You just have something major against PJ Fleck.
I think he was whispering something other than, I think he whispered the thing loud enough that you could hear, hey, nice game, blah, blah, blah. Stay with it. We love you. Transfer. We're losing Tanner Morgan.
A lot of money up here. We can make God be really good.
You could do well. You could do really well.
Just manage the offense. We don't need to rely on you.
But I'd stay with it. I think everything you're doing is great. I think everything you
Stop whispering. I don't like that.
Why?
Don't do that again.
That's not us whispering. That's PJ Fleck.
That's our PJ Fleck impression. But it apparently drives Rico crazy. By the way, row the boat. I don't trust that guy. I don't want him talking to our quarterbacks. And not only did he talk to Adrian, he talked to Luke Henrich. Didn't he talk to Henrich?
Yeah, Nick Henrich. Yeah,
Nick Henrich. I'm sorry, not Luke Reimer, but
Nick
Henrich.
Henrich.
Yeah.
I don't like to make it too big of a deal, but he missed a few tackles that day.
Yeah.
What do you think he went over and said? Like,
I don't know.
Thanks for missing those big tackles.
We
really
appreciate
needed
it.
that.
Thanks for playing terrible. I just don't trust him.
But it might be the complete opposite because Pat Fitzgerald, before the game, of course, Nebraska blew out Northwestern, and maybe that makes you feel better. Or don't think about it. But Pat Fitzgerald, before the game, talking to the sideline report on BTN, said, "I'm glad this is the last year we have to worry about Adrian Martinez. He's trying to push Adrian away from Nebraska."
That's right. But I like Pat Fitzgerald. I don't like PJ Fleck. And Husker Swami says maybe he was whispering, "We have another or with your name on it."
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah,
another or with your name on it. I like that. I just don't. I just have never trusted that guy. And the people that we have talked to said that's what he's like all the time. If that's the case, I really don't like the guy.
my favorite memory from Big Ten Media days is when my former cohort Brett Kane had a never drink soda. I'd never seen him have a soda in his life, but he's in the Big Ten Media days. So he went and he found something to drink. He got a soda, and PJ Fleck walks up to him and says, "That stuff will kill you, man."
I saw him drinking Pepsi though at his last press conference.
Fleck?
Oh, PJ Fleck.
Well, that might be a sponsorship thing.
I guarantee you that's probably it. That is probably it. I mean, Mike Riley could have made a lot of money with Pepsi.
Oh, yeah. He really loved his Pepsi.
He really liked his Pepsi.
Yeah.
Got some Pepsi. Now I'm ready to talk.
He would always point it out.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's my Pepsi.
Got my Pepsi. Let's go through your list. You spent some time on this. because I think a lot hinges for Nebraska football going forward, whether they win 6 or not. The momentum going into next year, I think, will be a lot about who comes back, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because we were excited about this year. Now it hasn't worked out, but the super seniors are the reason that we were excited. You had people like Markel Dismuke and obviously Cam Taylor-Britt and Deontay Williams say JoJo Doman coming back, and we're like, okay, this could be something. And maybe it's similar, and I think it's been most beneficial, just culture, guys holding guys accountable. And if you get some of these guys to come back next year, maybe we will be a little more optimistic. It's still going to be hard to be really optimistic until you see some results this year. Like you need some momentum going into next year, even on the football field this year. But we'll feel a lot better, I think, about next year if we know that some of these guys are coming back.
Well, a lot of it's just how, if you can get momentum at the end of the year, which Scott Frost desperately needs, is it going to be sustainable? Is it going to roll over? Can you, and a lot of that is, do you have the roster in place to do it? So I just wanted to look at the roster, kind of think of, a few different things. Is where's this roster next year? Because a lot of the talk is, okay, from Frost supporters, at least at this point, is that things are getting closer, things are getting better. And then, eventually this will take off. But if you lose a lot of these guys, it's maybe hard to imagine that. So quickly, just the guys that won't be here, the super seniors: Ben Stilley, JoJo Doman, Markel Dismuke, Deontay Williams, Samari Toure, and Connor Culp. So those guys are guys that just weren't going to be on the roster.
And the two guys I think they missed the most are Deontay Williams, JoJo Doman.
Yeah, those are potentially all Big Ten type of guys this
and
year.
Samari Toure has played really, really well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been fantastic. But the two safeties, Dismuke and Deontay Williams, has been fantastic for the most part. And JoJo has been a great leader. And I think having Stilley back has been good. You can't underestimate their value.
Yeah. I mean, and especially for that secondary, because, we have Cam Taylor-Britt who's going to make a decision too. You expect to lose, 3 out of your 4 secondary, and your 3 top 4 out of your secondary. That could be a big hit for him. But so let's go through the guys that probably have a decision to make. We'll get to some of the other pieces later, but we'll just start with the big names and kind of talk about if we expect them to come back. Of course, a big deal is if you're going to have your quarterback back, Adrian Martinez, and people feel all sorts of different ways about it. And myself included. I mean, for a majority of this year, I'm thinking, man, it would be great to have him back. Just, keep it going one more year, 6-year starter, whatever, 5-time captain, whatever it would be. But it's just getting to a point that maybe a separation wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I don't know if you have anybody. I don't think you have anybody better on the roster.
I don't
But
either.
it just feels like you're not getting over the hump with Adrian, and it's all these one possession games, he's just got one play that just sticks out every time when the pressure's on, that doesn't get over the hump. So I don't know. Like, I thought for the longest time, hey, you can spin it either way if he leaves or goes. And I mean, that's right where I am now is, I'd like to have him back at least for competition. I always think you should have competition back, but do you want to rely on Adrian Martinez for 6 years when the first 5 years haven't brought you the best results?
First 4, right? I mean, because he didn't redshirt.
Yeah.
So I just think, I think he's the best quarterback on this roster, and Nebraska actually could be better if he does return. But I think it's almost like just for therapy for everyone. I think Adrian's got to be tired of going through this beatdown every year. Like, I feel bad for the kid. I want him to have success so bad. And if you could tell me he was going to have great success, I would want that for him. And I'd love for him to come back for another year for that. It just doesn't feel like it's going to happen. And you almost need a clean slate. Maybe he does as well.
I think almost everybody does. And I hope that I really do hope that he comes back, because I think it'll make the team better. But I'm just kind of projecting it, at a certain point too, for him, it might feel good to go somewhere else. And I'm not even talking about the league. I'm talking about transferring and just finding, just kind of having a nice place to kind of rewrite a legacy somewhere else.
Yeah, it might be the thing for him. I'll miss the guy because I really like him.
Oh yeah, definitely a great leader, tough competitor. It's just that one play in all these one possession games.
One play every time.
That's hurting you.
Okay, move down your list then.
All right, let's go to Damian Daniels. I think he's played well enough that he's probably going to give his shot at the NFL, in my opinion.
You think so? Because this is really the first year that they've said he can play all 4 downs. And maybe he's proven enough this year. He's certainly a run stopper. He's a good player.
There's just not a lot. I mean, nose tackles tough to come by. I mean, there's just not a whole lot of guys that size.
Yeah, he might be, a top 5 round draft pick. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know the answer on Damian Daniels, whether he comes back or not. I just have no idea on that one.
And he's got a big decision. I think their backup nose tackle is Jordan Riley, who will also have a decision. I think he'll come back, obviously. But he might be able to start if Damian Daniels goes ahead and leaves. Cam Taylor-Britt, I think, is foregone conclusion. He had to make a decision to come back last year. He hasn't played the greatest up until the last couple games, but he's always been Nebraska's probably best player overall.
He's a good cover corner. He's a really good cover corner. Maybe you wouldn't put him on special teams as a punt returner in the NFL.
I don't think he'll get special teams
or maybe not. But he's a good football player. And I think he'll play in the NFL, and I think he'll be gone after this year.
Yeah. So I think you'll lose most of your secondary there. Austin, here's the big ones. If you convince Austin Allen and Travis Vokalek, or maybe just one or the other, to come back, the tight end position would look great for the future. If not, you still have some guys there. Thomas Benoni, obviously, everybody's looking forward to seeing, but not the proven level that Vokalek and Allen have been. But you're just kind of looking at reasons why this team would be, you can have some hype going into next season. And we'll see how much they use Allen like they did in this last game, because obviously a lot of time you feel like he's underutilized. He goes out there and gets more than 100 yards this past game. You got to keep going to him.
Maybe they could sell him on, hey, you're a Nebraska kid. We're very close. Let's keep building this thing. Come back for one more year. The NFL is always going to be there. But the clock is ticking, and that guy looks like an NFL player for me.
Yeah.
He's going to play. He's 6'9", and he can really run. He's a good football player. He's an NFL player in my mind. Both of them are. He and Vokalek both. It would be tough for me to convince him to stay, thinking maybe it's better for your future to go and start your NFL career now and make some money.
Yeah, but as a coach, you'd still try to convince him to stay.
I'd still try to weasel him into staying.
But I just think that you're probably going to lose Allen and Taylor-Britt there more than anybody. The next couple decisions to make, Cam Jurgens, actually, as a third-year sophomore, could go if he wants to. I think that he could really benefit from a year back, and that he'd be, Tyler Lindenbaum over there at Iowa is obviously the best center in the Big Ten. He could kind of try to take over that mantle, get some all Big Ten recognition. He's long been thought of as a great prospect and really coming on as Nebraska's best offensive lineman. Probably a little bit early for him to go, but he could make that decision.
Well, and he's still fairly new to the center position. Don't forget that he was a tight end recruit coming out of high school. And they switched to center, and it's taken him a while, but man, is he playing at a high level, and you have to give up a sack. There have been no snap problems, or at least very few snap problems this year. That guy could probably use one more year. You could maybe say to him, one more year to groom your talents, and you're an NFL center.
Yeah, I think those are the big names there between Jurgens, Vokalek, Allen, Taylor-Britt, Daniels, and Martinez. Maybe if you can get three to six guys to come back, you can feel pretty good about that. Other guys that could make decisions, you'd think they'd come back. Some guys are going to be done, just, they're going to be graduated and want to move on in football. Other guys might want to transfer and find somewhere to stay, or give a shot at the league. There's, Oliver Martin, DeAndre Thomas, kind of big names there. Omar Manning, Caleb Tanner, Fidelius Payne, Jordan Riley, Matt Sichterman, Trent Hickson, and Brock Bando. Among others, probably all the names that you probably expect to come back unless they're just done with football.
Yeah, none of those guys. Oliver Martin, he's transferred twice, so I don't expect he'll transfer again. He went to Iowa. He started at Iowa, went to Michigan, now he's at Nebraska.
He should transfer one more time to one more Big Ten school just to live out the
just
dream.
to say that you did it.
Yeah.
But so I see him coming back. DeAndre Thomas hasn't been a full-time starter. Didn't play much last year due to COVID. I think he'll come back. Omar Manning still has a ways to go in development. I think potentially he could be get an NFL look. And then Caleb Tanner, Fidelius Payne. Caleb Tanner, I think, is talented, but I think he probably needs to come back as well. So, all those guys farther down your list feel like the decision is pretty easy. Come back.
Yeah, unless we just have to keep in mind that there's probably one or two guys, and I don't know if it's on that name I listed, but they're going to use the transfer portal maybe just to go play more somewhere else. If you're not getting enough playing time here at Nebraska, there's always other opportunities. So you look at the list. The building blocks. The other thing I want to mention is just kind of the building blocks you have more moving forward, regardless of any of those decisions. Is if you're looking at reasons why next year's team could be good, a lot of running backs coming back, obviously. Gabe Irvin hopefully will be healthy. Ramir Johnson, Jacquez Zient's got some development to do, but you're excited about his future. Xavier Betts out there at wide receiver. is probably leading that wide receiver group. The offensive line, I know it's much of not the best between running back and offensive line. It's not your best positions right now, but there might be your strengths next year with Torna Corcoran and Teddy Prohaska recovering. The defensive line, you'd have some building blocks there with Ty Robinson and Casey Rogers. And then your inside linebackers with Reimer and Henrich and Honus should all be back. But you kind of have questions about the secondary, we already mentioned. The tight end group, if those guys go ahead and leave. And in the quarterback, I mean, if Adrian Martinez leaves, and the wide receiver room could get thin outside of Xavier Betts pretty quickly as well. So
if you're hitting the transfer portal, you're hitting it hard for cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Maybe for a pass rusher, which everybody
absolutely
is.
Yeah.
Possibly for a quarterback. Although, Logan Smothers could be that guy next year. And we'll see what Adrian decides to do. Harburg feels like he's a couple of ways off, a couple of years off as far as development is concerned. And then running back again. It feels like go get a running back. I like Ramir Johnson.
It's a crowded room. Gabe Irvin, Ramir Johnson, Jacques Sevian Morrison, and Marquis Stepp.
Do you see a superstar there?
I don't, but you might have to shed some scholarships there. That's a lot of scholarships at the running back position.
Maybe so. That's sometimes what happens on a roster when you bring in some transfers, that other guys leave. Or maybe other guys just leave.
Well, and of course, like as somebody points out the text line, it could just be whatever your best prospect is. Last couple of years, Waddale and JD just leave, so you don't, it could be somewhere out of nowhere where your best guy leaves anyways. That would be another big hit to the program, but somewhat of a theme under the Frost era.
Here's a good idea. Go get Kenneth Walker III. Maybe he's willing to, he probably can't transfer again, but Michigan State did it. Nebraska hasn't done it. And it's disappointing that they can't find, I don't care where you get your running back, whether it's the high school ranks or junior college or through the transfer market, just get one. Just get a guy that can be dependable. And maybe Ramir is that guy.
Ramir seems to be turning into he's dependable at least.
He's a very good running back. I don't know that he is a superstar.
An all Big Ten starter.
I think that's kind of what you need. I mean, that's the goal. Let's get the break. Come back with Wingman. It's Wednesday, so it's What's the Hook Wednesday. We're going to have Rico, I think, read lyrics with an accent or maybe an impression.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I don't know if he's going to do it. We might have to force him to do it, but he might do it. He'd be really good at it. He's always entertaining. But nonetheless, Wingman is next. 464-5685. Call right now on the Honda of Lincoln hotline to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. We'll do it next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
Welcome back, Husker fans. Eustace Body Shop is happy to welcome the best fans in college football back to Lincoln. With Gold Class certified service, OEM parts, and free loaner cars, Eustace Body Shop can call the right plays to keep you in the game. Whether it's in Lincoln at 88th and Highway 2 or at any of our other 5 locations across Nebraska, Eustace Body Shop can help get you back on the road. Go Big Red.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
The weather has changed, and now it's time to adjust your footwear to change along with it. Stop into Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q to get ready for cooler temperatures and fashion trends. They're stocked with Hey Dudes, Brooks, New Balance, Danner boots, Keen or Merrill hiking boots, and plenty of other options. Plus, they have Nordic beach jackets and bindle tumblers to take to the gym with your new athletic shoes. So get to Brown's Shoe Fit today at 66th and Q.
Hi, this is Kurt, your shop manager at A1 Automotive here in downtown Lincoln. My promise to you is this: you won't find another automotive repair facility that genuinely cares about you and your vehicle. Our service is outstanding and our customer service is better. Please give me a call for all your automotive repair questions and needs. Call me at 402-477-4660. We were built on small town values, and that shows in how we treat others. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. High school football playoffs are right around the corner as teams jockey for seeding. On Friday, Lincoln East took care of Lincoln Northeast 56-14. East would look unstoppable at times, scoring on 6 straight drives. Lincoln Southeast lost handedly to Gretna, 42-14. Southeast moved to 10 in the power rankings despite a bad second half. Lincoln High shut out Omaha Northwest, 34-0. North beat Lincoln Pius, 43-22. Lincoln Southwest was shut out by Omaha Burke, 24-0. Waverly won big over Crete, 48-14. Lincoln Christian fell to Milford, 46-20, and Lincoln Lutheran went over Centennial by a touchdown, 28-21. In Class A softball, Lincoln Southwest came out as this year's champion after facing Lincoln East on Friday with a final score of 16-7. The last time two Lincoln teams faced off in the championship was 2009 between Southwest and North Star. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
State Farm, this is Bill.
It finally got me, Bill.
What's that, Rick?
The Clark Street crater, the mother of all potholes.
Oh.
Year after rim-wrecking year, it's tormented the people of this town. It got me good.
But you know, State Farm's got you too.
You hear that? You ain't nothing.
You trash talking a pothole?
Yes, I am.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Kreekak, at 402-474-1173.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill has food and drink specials every night for all the games. Enjoy jumbo pork tenderloin for $8.99 and 90-cent wings for Monday Night Football, or Comfort Thursday Night Football with chicken fried chicken, steak, or pork for just $9.99 and $20 Coors Light aluminum buckets. Watch college football on Saturdays with an Aggie sandwich for $9.99 and Coors Light specials, and catch NFL Sundays with Bloody Marys and more. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket, sponsored by Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, Tractor Supply Distribution Center, T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Planet Fitness, Barnwood and Leather, and Vitalize Health.
Lay the groundwork for more harvesting capacity when you order new John Deere combines and headers during Landmark Implement's early order program. Whether you're looking to improve your existing combine, corn head, or flex draper, or you've been wanting to update to a new model year, now is the time to upgrade. Get the very latest harvesting equipment and technology that fit your operations needs. Get your new John Deere harvest equipment built just the way you want. Contact your local Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
It's time to carve out good savings at Supreme Spa and Pool, above ground pools. Now from $29.99. Step the world's strongest semi-in-ground pool
With a lifetime transferable warranty.
from $69.99. Book now. In-ground pool packages from $29.99.
Installed this year.
Cash and carry spas from $39.99.
Ready for immediate pickup.
With a free water care kit. Carve out good savings at SupremeSpaAndPool.com.
Tractor Supply Distribution Center Waverly is now hiring for all shifts. They're a 24/7 facility and a clean environment to work in. There's potential to earn up to $25.25 per hour with opportunities for overtime. They also offer a retention bonus as new team members are eligible for a bonus as high as $1,000. Come be a part of the Tractor Supply team. Apply today at www.tractorsupply.jobs.
This is Wingman.
Son, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash. I don't like you because you're dangerous. That's right. You can be my wingman anytime.
Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings on 93.7 The Ticket.
464-5685. Call right now on the Honda of Lincoln hotline to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings so you can go get tickets.
Pollos. Yardbirds.
All right. It is Wednesday, so that means What's the Hook Wednesday. Rico has prepared something fabulous for us. Last week, I thought I did a fairly good job of acting out there and reading the lyrics to the song. Can't even remember what the song was. But to the song in a country accent. And I was really good, pretty good, I thought. So now I've assigned that same task to Rico. 464
Not a country accent,
5685.
Although it might sound a little country.
Any accent that you would like to use, any impression, any voice
I'm just
going
to deepen my voice a lot.
I like it. All right. Anytime you're ready, the stage is yours, Rico.
Caroline, see Caroline, all the guys would say she's mighty fine. But mighty fine only got you somewhere half the time. And the other half either got you cussed out or coming up short. Yeah.
Very good.
I have no idea what that is. And so
great.
far, the phone lines don't know either. or at least they're not
There's
calling.
somebody there.
Is there somebody there?
There's somebody there.
All right,
Mike's there.
Mike is there. Oh, hi, Mike. How are you?
Confused. I don't have a clue.
Well,
I need a wingman.
Your wingman would be myself, and it would be Bock, but I don't know.
Do we have to have the song name?
Yeah, song name or artist.
I know it's Outcast. I don't know the song name. I would guess Caroline, I guess.
He's going to go with Caroline.
No. Yeah,
by
that's what I'm
Outkast.
saying. I don't know.
464-568. That's not correct. Is that?
Did we lose Mike?
No, we can hear him over there.
No, I'm
Mike,
here.
are you there?
Mike
Are you
there.
going to go with that? Caroline by Outkast.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It doesn't sound like that's right.
Oh yeah,
It's
well,
not. It's
yeah,
not right.
Couldn't quite help.
Let's see if somebody else does it. 464-5685. I did enjoy the singing today because a lot of times I have not been singing. You sometimes will sing. But I've never sung. Dustin, is it Dustin? Let's go to Dustin.
Okay.
On line 2. Hi, how are you?
Good yourself.
Good. What do you think that was that Rico was singing?
Roses by Outkast.
Roses.
Oh yeah.
By Outkast. This is how it actually sounds. Turn it up there.
Oh, okay.
And here we go. Let's take 2 on that one.
I know you like to think your don't stink, but lean a little bit closer. See, roses really smell like boo boo boo. Yeah, roses really smell like boo boo boo.
I like Outkast. What was their big hit?
Hey Ya, I think
Hey
was
Ya.
the biggest one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Boy was one of their was in the band.
See, that's why we sometimes I'll do it because I'm usually going to go older. And when you do it, you're kind of in the middle. Yeah, I never know. You're usually over the last 20 years. And Rico, you never know where he's going. You never know where he's going. That's
Yeah.
like
Well,
this
you
one.
weren't a big Outcast.
No,
big
I
Outkast
liked Hey Ya. Was that what? Hey Ya. I like that
was the biggest
song.
one, I think so.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm not the hippest guy always in the room.
Well, they're kind of an older band now.
But when you're talking about old stuff, I'm thinking classic rock, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or I might go back to I don't listen to anything really of the last 10 years.
You remember Miss Jackson? Sorry, Miss Jackson. Woo!
Janet Jackson?
No.
No.
No. Okay,
See,
never mind.
never mind. So anyway, nice job. We've got a winner.
Yeah, Dustin,
It
I
was
think.
Dustin on that one. Scott Frost. We were talking about this. They do plan to hit the transfer portal.
Yeah.
In kind of a big way. And we talked about the 10 most important players coming back, and we don't have a lot of optimism that a lot of these guys will, whether it's Adrian or Damian Daniels or Cam Taylor-Britt or Austin Allen or Travis Vokalek. Cam Jurgens, I think he's coming back. Some of these others I think are coming back. So the answer to that is, knowing that you're only getting 13 guys on scholarship for this recruiting class at the most, you're going to hit the JUCOs hard, hit the JUCO ranks. And I think you have a lot of undervalued talent in the JUCO ranks because those guys didn't play due to COVID last year. And so there's a lot of really good players that didn't get evaluated or scouted. And so I think, Nebraska living so close to JUCO land too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good JUCO junior college schools in the state of Kansas and even Iowa Western, pretty close, that you could evaluate and get guys to play immediately. And some of those guys are really, really good players. I mean, occasionally you'll find a Levante David. But he says, we're a couple of pieces away from getting over the hump. And so to get there, they are going to evaluate guys through the transfer portal and the junior colleges for this upcoming recruiting class and just to add pieces.
Yeah. And I think Scott Frost has always done a good job of addressing the problems on the depth chart or in the the holes in the roster as far as bringing a guy in. Hasn't always worked out, and we'll see. Like a guy like Marquise Stepp, you'd say probably hasn't worked out at this time, but he's a young guy, could stick around the program and have his own redemption story, similar to what Ramir Johnson has done. So you kind of wait to see how some of those things play out. But I mean, it's throughout his tenure. Some guys work, some guys haven't, and that's usually, that's what you get in recruiting. You'd like to have a 50-50 hit. So I guess in the JUCO or the player, the transfer market, it would probably be about the same.
Even Dabo Swinney said that they plan to hit the transfer market pretty heavily.
Oh yeah,
this year, and that's a team that is a little down, obviously. Alabama did it, but they get their pick of the best transfers available, so they'll do it. But I think you look at the Michigan State model to some degree, and bring in a lot of guys and say the competition is on. These are guys that are coming in to take your job. And remember, we heard that from Scott Frost and the whole staff. We're going to recruit guys that are better than you. It's your job to beat them out.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I think Minnesota, we saw this past week too, that Pickney, the Clemson transfer defensive tackle. I mean, he had a huge presence in that game, including a sack. So it's just the way college football is nowadays. If the transfer portal is going to be open and you don't have to sit out a year, everybody's going to be hitting it, and as well they should. And in Nebraska, you don't want to be the one left behind there. They've done a good job, I think, in this program so far, getting those guys, and oftentimes it's worked. It's just it's the same thing Scott Frost always says. Maybe it's just not quite enough that they haven't found that guy. Maybe a little bit of a retention would have helped. I still think if they have Wandale, they might have 4 or 5 wins right now.
They could. I don't have a lot of confidence that no matter who they would have had, they would be dramatically better, because it doesn't always seem to be about talent for Nebraska football.
He would have been playing running back.
That's probably right. He'd have been the number one running back, and they would have given it to him on the goal line. And you're having a 170-pound running back try to smash his way into the end zone. Who knows? Craig did say he liked the way Rico sang, and we wish he would have done the chorus. Maybe this is a regular thing. We could have. I enjoyed that.
It was a really deep voice. Yeah,
I didn't know it was Outkast and Roses. I knew the band Outkast, and I know Hey Ya, but I didn't know the name of that song. But the caller did, so that was impressive.
That's a very popular song too. Maybe one of their top hits, and I don't know why. I think it's just because
because you couldn't understand it through the lyrics that Rico delivered.
Yeah, I just don't get
that
it.
Was a different voice, and that's the whole idea of Wingman on What's the Hook Wednesday, that it's sung in a different voice, and so it's not easy to detect. Let's get to break and come back with more talk. It's Tom and Bock. There's more on the way.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Lay the groundwork for more harvesting capacity when you order new John Deere combines and headers during Landmark Implement's early order program. Whether you're looking to improve your existing combine, corn head, or flex draper, or you've been wanting to update to a new model year, now is the time to upgrade. Get the very latest harvesting equipment and technology that fit your operations needs. Get your new John Deere harvest equipment built just the way you want. Contact your local Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
State Farm, this is Bill. It finally got me, Bill. What's that, Rick? The Clark Street crater, the mother of all potholes. Oh. Year after rim-wrecking year, it's tormented the people of this town. It got me good.
But State Farm's got you too.
You hear that? You ain't nothing.
You trash talking a pothole?
Yes, I am.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Hi, this is Kurt, your shop manager at A1 Automotive here in downtown Lincoln. My promise to you is this: you won't find another automotive repair facility that genuinely cares about you and your vehicle. Our service is outstanding and our customer service is better. Please give me a call for all your automotive repair questions and needs. Call me at 402-477-4660. We were built on small town values, and that shows in how we treat others. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Experiencing increased body fat, low sex drive, lack of energy, or general fatigue? Vitalize Health offers testosterone replacement therapy and peptide therapy to boost hormone levels and build muscle mass. Call Vitalize Health today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizehealthne.com.
No doubt about it, a water softener saves you money. Don't have one? Call the plumbers at Bryant. Just one call and no arm-twisting contracts. For a free estimate, call 467-1111 or go to BryantLincoln.com.
Breakfast tacos, brisket tacos, pork tacos, chicken tacos. You hungry yet? I can keep going. Pork or chicken, queso nachos, queso mac and cheese, match mac burritos. Now you're salivating. Muchachos is Lincoln's premier New Mexico barbecue fusion restaurant. And you can't miss them in their bright blue building. Pair that great food with delicious coffee for breakfast and a variety of local and national beers on tap the rest of the day. Order your food online at yomuchacho.com or visit them in person at Muchachos on South 11th Street between L and K Streets.
This is Tom and Bock coming at you live from Coppel Chevrolet GZCO's heart of Lincoln, America on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
Hey, what day is it?
To my knowledge, Wednesday.
Well, we're happier than a camel on Wednesday, baby.
Jake Bockelman.
Coach told me when we're in Rome, we do as Romans. And when we're in Italy, we do as Italians. So Italians, they eat pizza after the game.
Tom and Bock starts now.
Hour number 3 on a Wednesday. It is Tom and Bock. This is a bye week, Bock.
I did.
There is no game. If you're planning on going to Memorial Stadium for the Nebraska-Purdue game, it won't be this week. It's going to be the following week. And it will be televised, I believe, on the
Deuce, ESPN 2.
Deuce, ESPN, the Deuce. 2:30 game, though, so you won't have to worry about early morning 11 a.m. game. But it made me think, what are you going to do? It's a bye week. I mean, there's nothing going on this Saturday. I know people that like to go golfing. Maybe if it's a night game, for example, they'd like to go golfing during the day. But maybe you could play, 72 holes if you wanted to on Saturday. I plan on going golfing. I know some people think, well, I could do the wedding thing. Can't do, that's the biggest cardinal sin. You can't have your wedding on a Husker football Saturday.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of weddings this weekend.
I would imagine it would have been tough to book your wedding this week.
Yeah.
What do you?
Or was this the week? What was the whole deal with Fordham? Which week did we get pulled out of?
Yeah, Fordham
was supposed to be this.
It was it was Southeast Louisiana.
Yeah.
And originally that was scheduled for this week. And then when they realized that Oklahoma is going to be tough to win and this could be a disaster, let's schedule a bye week there with Fordham, and then up there where because it's too early in the season, right? They had a bye week
after week 0.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. So you schedule a game, and it's like a bye week if you have Fordham, and then later in the year, week 8, when you really need a bye, there it is. And now Nebraska, after 2 more weeks, is going to have another bye. So you have a chance to get healthy.
Which they're pretty healthy already.
Yeah,
but they're tired.
I think they're fairly banged up.
Yeah. But any football team is at this point.
Yeah. So what are you going to do with your bye week? That's basically
spring cleaning. That's always a good. Well, it's not spring.
I'm not doing
fall
that.
Cleaning.
Yard work, I suppose. I mean, I don't want to do that.
I got to prepare the house. Yeah.
You have stuff.
That's what
on?
I'm going to do. Yeah, maybe empty my gutters. Try to seal the around the house. Make sure there's no water getting in this year for the winter.
Wow, that sounds like no fun at all.
Well, that's why I'm doing it on the bye week.
Yeah, there you go. So, Amy, I'd like to know what you're doing with your bye week. If you want to chime in, 464-5685, Sutter Heyman text line, Honda of Lincoln hotline. Let's see, where are we going to go from here? Let's see, some Husker. Yeah, let's go with some Husker hoops talk. They did speak to the media yesterday. Wilhelm Bredenbach was one of the first. This is Wilhelm Bredenbach talking about working on his body. Here we go.
It's been an adjustment, but not a negative one at all. It's been a real positive thing just because I've never really had so many resources on hand just right next to you. You can go eat, go get recovery, whatever. So it's a great adjustment to be able to have. Yeah.
He was a guy that had a knee injury late in his high school career, was a little worried that he would be injured this year, but he's recovered rather quickly. And then, of course, that whole story that he grew 2 inches just magically. So now he's 6'10". He's going to be a big part, I think, of this offense.
Well, and I think, too, he gets overshadowed because of Bryce McGowan's being the first 5-star. People kind of forget he's a top 100 kid. There's a reason you can't just have one 5-star. That'd make your whole recruiting class. There's a reason Nebraska had, one of the top recruiting classes in the Big Ten, and a big part was him. So, and I'm really intrigued. He's one of those pieces that you just really kind of want to see how he fits in, right? Like he's got the size. You hear that he can kind of spread the floor to kind of see. He could be a big piece moving forward, and I think he can be, at least to begin the season, a guy that eventually, I mean, he's just so valuable, his size and shooting and versatile. That he could be a starter for years to come, I believe.
Yeah, I think he needs to get bigger and stronger. And maybe his way of playing in the Big Ten is to drag bigger guys away from the basket.
Yeah.
And open things up with his passing and shooting ability. I think he's going to be really valuable, but he definitely needs to put on some weight, and that's a big concern with Nebraska's big men.
Who would you have guard Hunter Dickinson right now? Or
I think Walker's probably your only option. I mean, Eduardo Andre is getting bigger, and I think he's up to 238 pounds, and he's put on 20 pounds since last year. He's long. He's a 7'4" wingspan, but he's not big.
Yeah,
he's long but not big.
And he doesn't necessarily, he's kind of new to the game of basketball, but he was progressing at such a rate that if he made the similar strides that he made, going into last year, he's going to be really good. I mean, I still think he's got a whole heck of a lot of potential.
He's just very new to the game of basketball. Hasn't played very many years of it, but Braden Bock is a knows how to play guy. I mean, he's got a high IQ and can do it all. I think he's going to be valuable, even though he's physically not as ready as he could be. This is Wilhelm Bradenbach talking about adjusting to college.
I think it's been, obviously it's a little different as far as the change of pace. It's a more up-tempo game, but I've adjusted to that well, kind of battling guys bigger and stronger than me, being able to adjust to that. Also another thing, getting off my shot quicker, just kind of making a decision, getting my shot off quicker before everybody's a lot longer. So, yeah.
Bradenbach here. Are you a three-point shooter?
Yeah, I mean, I work on it a lot. I work on my game a lot, so I'm pretty confident in my shooting. Yeah.
Says he weighs 227 pounds and feels stronger.
Yeah, I mean, I've put on. I don't really know how much weight I've put on, but I'm up to about like 227 pounds. So I've put on a good amount of weight. I feel a lot more powerful. As far as just all around conditioning, my wind and things like that have all gotten a lot better.
He may be sneakily the best recruit in this class. I mean, it's easy to say Bryce McGowan's, but it'll be interesting to compare. I think Bryce is going to have a great year, but I think Bradenbach right away will be very effective for Nebraska basketball. I don't think he'll start, unlike Bryce.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like you said, I mean, just kind of how you view it. Maybe Bryce McGowan's being one and done, and that's his plan. We'll see how it plays out. But if he does that, that could get a lot of tension toward Nebraska and all that. But maybe Bradenbach and who knows, maybe he's good enough to leave early too. But being around for a couple of years could have a bigger long-term impact.
The game that I'm really most excited about is an exhibition game because it's against Colorado, something you usually don't get in the exhibition season without doing the behind closed doors thing where nobody sees it. But this is going to be a charity thing. The NCAA is allowing you to do that. And it's on Halloween. This is Fred Hoiberg talking about the approach to the Colorado exhibition game.
Yeah, it is. It's a great opportunity, as I said, to play against one of the top teams in the Pac-12, a guy in Tad Boyle that I have a ton of respect for. Coached against him actually when Colorado was still in the Big 12, and when I got the job at Iowa State. Nebraska was in the Big 12 at that time as well. But I've got so much respect for Tad, excuse me, and how hard his teams play and how well his teams play together. I think we'll be able to learn a lot, from them in that game with how they play together. And that's historically what's been the makeup of Tad Boyle's teams. As far as going out there, sure, we're going to try to win every time we step on the floor. At the same time, not get completely lost in the fact that we still have some work to do on figuring out our rotation. So we will play a lot of guys that night, but every time we step on the floor, sure we want to win.
This is good stuff. Fred Hoiberg here. We mentioned Bradenbach and his value. Hoiberg says he's been phenomenal.
Wilhelm's been phenomenal. Derek had a little bit of an illness, and we've been very cautious when we've had guys that haven't felt good to keep them away from the team. We do have 100% vaccination, which I'm proud of our group for doing that. But when Derek was out for that stretch, I was playing Wilhelm with that first group, and he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So, a guy that can play multiple positions on the floor. He can play both front court spots. Thing about Wilhelm, you're never going to have to worry about what he gives you. He plays with incredible effort and intensity. He gets hacked, fouled, don't call it. He is sprinting back the other way and getting ready to defend on the other end. And, normally with younger players, you have to teach them through those moments. But, Wilhelm's just one of those guys that comes in and you know what you're going to get from him. A guy that can certainly stretch the floor, move the big away from the basket and really compete on the other end. He's not afraid to get his, get dirty in there and go and grind it out against bigger, stronger, more athletic players. But, just his makeup is what makes him special. And his very unique skill set for a guy that's 6'10" that can make shots and can pass and make plays like he can.
Obviously, very excited about Wilhelm Breidenbach. That guy's going to be a good player. I don't think there's a lot of doubt about that. But he does need to continue to grow as a playmaker, says Hoiberg.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Wilhelm is just continue to make plays and go out there, get comfortable at this level. He showed it in the AAU season. He showed it in high school. Now that you're playing against better competition and more athletic players, every time he steps on the floor, just want to see him continue to grow in his playmaking ability. And again, we put the ball in his hands some, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And again, that's rare for a freshman.
Hoiberg here talking about having good player leadership on the team.
Yeah, I knew the guys got together before they went home, and sounds like that was very productive when they got in that room and talked. And there's been several of those since that point where, coaches will be in there, we'll be talking about things that we need to grow from and things that we need to learn. And then the players will sit in there and talk about it. And that's where you have growth, is when you can sit there and have an honest conversation with a teammate that's sitting across the locker room from you and have constructive criticism where you're not taking it personal. That's where you have growth, when you have that accountability within your team.
Okay, so that's good stuff. Alonzo Verge, we know what a big get that was for Nebraska basketball after Delano Banton decided to stay in the NBA draft, and it worked out well for Delano. And then Nebraska got the transfer from Arizona State, Alonzo Verge. This is Hoiberg talking about his playmaking ability and his impact.
Yeah, you don't want to take away instincts, and he's got great instincts as a basketball player. He's a good finisher. He's got a nice floater in the paint. Shots that probably aren't considered, well, they're not considered high percentage shots, but he makes them. And, if you show over time, you can make a high percentage. You have to live with some of those. And, again, a guy that can really get it going when he gets hot, he's a hard guy to stop, and then he's a hard guy to keep in front. And then sucking in the defense with the shooting that we've added to this year's team, it can make for some pretty tough lineups to defend. A lot of that because of Alonso's playmaking.
One more from Hoiberg here, where things might go in terms of tempo this year for Nebraska basketball.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get us more consistent in that area of play, really decent tempo. We're hard to guard when we come down, even in the half court, when we're going through execution segments. We still have times where we're struggling with the cutting and reading a defense and that type of thing. We do segments every day on it. And again, sometimes we're really good. Sometimes if it gets a little physical, we'll back off a little bit. So, I'm just looking for overall consistency in everything we're doing. But when we play with pace, we're a pretty tough team to guard. And we've shown an ability as we've gone along as far as making simple plays more. We were turning the ball over way too much early, but we've taken a huge step in the right direction with that these last probably 3 or 4 weeks. And you have to have it. Last year, we turned it over, obviously, way too much, and it cost us games.
What's your concern? Because of tempo sometimes, and the tempo that Fred Hoiberg likes to play, it gets, at least it has been over the first 2 years, a little helter-skelter for Nebraska basketball. And the turnovers happen, and they averaged 14 turnovers a game last year. Sometimes it was way worse than that. Sometimes it was a little better than that. But he talks a lot about, and he did last year, about making the simple play. If Nebraska can do that, it's easier said than done, it seems like, with the Hoiberg coach teams because of the pace in which they play. But if they can do that, I think they could be really good. And they've got shooters around guys this year.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you look at a lot of different metrics, but the shooting was kind of been the problem over the last couple of years, because I mean that's the Hoiberg offense is toss it up, and we'll see if they can kind of have, they've added some shooters, hopefully that can add to it. But as far as the messiness, hopefully kind of Verge as a point guard. I know, and it's just weird. It's always weird to talk about Delano Banton because he didn't turn the ball over too much at times. Sometimes he would, and he's a 6'9" guy that can handle the ball. But it was just, it always felt like somewhat of a project. And hopefully it translates better in the NBA, but it just kind of felt like a project. And so hopefully having a true point guard in Alonzo Verge, who's kind of been playing off ball, so I don't know if he's the best ball handler. We'll kind of see how it works out still there. But, I expect some sloppiness. This is a new team together. I think there's a lot of talent. So if they're playing well, I mean, that's the way it is a lot of times in this high level of basketball is everybody's got good players. Are they playing their best ball that night? Are they, it's a make or miss league is what Doc Rivers says in the NBA. And, for Hoiberg with his NBA system, it's the same type of deal.
I think some of that, making the simple plays has been the reason they haven't is there's a lack of trust because they haven't had guys when you kick it out to them could make the shot. And so there were guys trying to do too much at times. This year, I think that's going to be less of a problem because you have so many guys that can stroke it, can knock down threes. You can trust that guy that when you kick him out to him, Casey is going to make it or Kobe is going to make it or whoever, or Bryce McGowan's is going to, they have several guys that can make shots. Lat Mayon did from time to time, but he was one of the few guys that you had to focus on last year. Now you got to focus on a bunch of guys that can make shots. I think it'll be easier for Nebraska to make the simple play because you can trust guys to make the simple play because they can trust their teammate to make the simple play.
Well, of course, we've been talking about the rotations and who's going to start and all this, and it will be the same throughout. Sometimes it's kind of fun to focus on who starts, but then pay attention to who's ending those games too, because starting might be, ideally what you want to have in place, or, we saw last night with the Lakers, they start DeAndre Jordan so he could win the tip, and then he doesn't play that much throughout the game.
Well, and you don't know until you actually play the ends of games and you see which guys are stepping up consistently.
Yeah. But like Kobe Webster could be a guy I see maybe not starting, but at the end of the game, he's one of your five on the court.
He was that guy last year. Remember, he got all that, not a lot of playing time in the middle of the season. And then when Teddy left, he was getting a lot of playing time, and he stepped up and he played great. 464-5685. This off the Sutter Heyman text line. I love listening to Fred Hoiberg, says bipolar, especially talk about his team and about the game. Actually sounds confident and knows what he's talking about. Yeah, that's one of the things. He sounds almost like a professor when he talks about basketball.
Sounded like he had a cough, too. Before he said anything, it was
yeah, he did have a little bit of a cough. But I just love when he when he gets stuff on the telestrator. He likes to get on the telestrator and just diagram plays. But when he talks about basketball in general, he just sounds like a really intelligent guy. Because he is intelligent anyway. I like to hear him talk about basketball. That's all I'm saying.
And Brian also said he's going to both exhibitions and he'll never miss a chance to boo the Buffaloes. So even if it's an exhibition, I hope there's some heat on the Buffaloes. I agree with Brian.
Packed house booing the Buffaloes in an exhibition game.
That'd be awesome.
I would love it. You storm the court?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you storm the court after that exhibition win? I think you
do. If they do win that game, that's a team that was in the tournament last year. Can we get like half a game or something counted toward the RPI? I mean, that's a big win.
That's what I mean. I mean, people are going to see it. That's the reason they've been doing the closed door scrimmages, because nobody can see it and evaluate your team. If you see Nebraska blow out Colorado by 20 or 30 points, you evaluate that, right? You look at them and go, hey, they're pretty good. And
I think you always have to evaluate too. The strategies of the coaches might be dissimilar in an exhibition game. It might not be to win the game.
That's a team that made the NCAA tournament. All I'm saying is I'm going to be watching the Colorado game very closely, more than I will be some regular season games where I know that Nebraska will win by 20.
Kansas State, by the way, also on the schedule. If you're looking for a Big Eight, that's a real game.
That's right.
So there'll be some kind of fun.
Bruce Weber,
made
the Elite Eight a few years ago. But I don't think
he does just once he's about to get fired.
That's right. Yeah, that's what he does. He is about to get fired, then he goes to the Final Four, and then he's fine, and then he's about to get fired 2 years later again.
Yeah,
that's kind of his MO. Let's get the break and come back with Steve Sipple. We've missed Steve. He's been gone for a couple of days, and now he's back on the airwaves with us. Steve Sipple of the Lincoln Journal-Star is coming up next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 A Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill has food and drink specials every night for all the games. Enjoy jumbo pork tenderloin for $8.99 and 90-cent wings for Monday Night Football, or come for Thursday Night Football with chicken fried chicken, steak, or pork for just $9.99 and $20 Coors Light aluminum buckets. Watch college football on Saturdays with an Eggy sandwich for $9.99 and Coors Light specials, and catch NFL Sundays with Bloody Marys and more. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Here's to days spent roaming and to sleeping beneath the stars, to casting another line and letting time float by. From Shadron State Park to Indian Cave State Park and every recreation area, historical, and state park in between. Here's to your adventures, your memories. Here's to 100 years of your Nebraska state parks. Plan your next trip today at nebraskaparks100.org. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air's motto is our family serving yours. That starts with how we hire. We go through an extensive interview process to really get to know you and show you who we are. We want to help you build a great career, be challenged, have fun, and bring home an excellent weekly paycheck. We offer competitive wages with benefits, including a day off for your birthday. Apply to be a part of the John Henry's family at jhlincoln.com. That's jhlincoln.com.
John Henry's Plumbing.
Experiencing increased body fat, low sex drive, lack of energy, or general fatigue? Vitalize Health offers testosterone replacement therapy and peptide therapy to boost hormone levels and build muscle mass. Call Vitalize Health today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizehealthne.com.
The workday is long, the bills are due, and sometimes you just need to relax. There's no better way to do that than in your brand new hot spring spa from Bonzal Pool and Spa. With hot tubs as low as $75 per month and interest-free financing, you're sure to find the perfect spa to fit your lifestyle. So get over to Bonzal Pool and Spa today and check out their selection of hot spring spas. Bonzal Pool and Spa, 33rd and Highway 2. Every day made better.
Hi, I'm Charlie Stone, and joining me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, are you there?
Yes, I am, Charlie.
Hey, Andy, I saw on television you have more than 500 new Hondas in stock or on the way. Now, I'm sure the listeners would like to hear more about that.
Well, Charlie, it's true. We have truckloads of new Hondas arriving just about every day. What's different is you won't see them on the lot very long because most all of them are pre-sold. And that's what we're encouraging all of our customers to do is get in here, get their order in as soon as possible.
Well, tell me, Andy, will they have to wait long?
Not really. It could be a few days or maybe even a few weeks, but not long at all. So I really invite everyone to come on out and experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Thank you, Andy. Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln.
Take your tan to the max at Max Tan and tan for a can every day through the month of October. Bring in a can of food for the food bank and get a free tan from Max Tan. See maxtan.net for details. Tan for a can every day in October. Only at Max Tan.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Final half hour of Tom and Bock. I'm Tom Stevens. He's Jake Bockhoven. Huskers at the start of this year, I think the big conversation was just get to 6. And we thought, well, you got a great opportunity, even though it's a brand new coach with Brett Bielema. And then, you hadn't seen him, you hadn't scouted him, and there was that whole controversy about, well, they showed a different defensive front.
You didn't have a whole offseason or anything to prepare for different
4-3, 3-4, and all that. They didn't win that game. But we talked about Michigan State and how important that game was going to be. But we didn't realize how good Michigan State was this year. And now they're, a top 10 team that's undefeated. So that loss doesn't look terrible. But you have lost 2 games that you probably shouldn't have not have. Minnesota, obviously, being the latest, and Illinois in there as well. So let's bring in Steve Sipple of the Lincoln Journal-Star. This is my question to you, Steve. Hi, by the way. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Excuse me.
Good.
I'm good.
I thought this season was a lot about just get to 6. Just get to a bowl game. Just win 6 games because you can't have another year without winning or getting to a bowl game. Now, if you're not going to go to a bowl game, what has this season become about?
I don't know how to answer that because I haven't ruled out them getting to 6.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
What it's always about in my mind, and this goes along with the conversation, and I think we talked about this, what it's always about to me, what sports is always about to me, especially in the context of coaching, is maximizing,
Yeah.
maximizing your players and your players' talent, and of course, more important, maximize your team's talent. So you might be coaching an individual sport, so it's about maximizing the individual. And then, but in Scott Frost's case, this is about maximizing his team. And that, to me, is the measure, the ultimate measure. And now that does get to the discussion about getting to a bowl, because I have said it and I'll continue to say it, that this is a bowl team. It's a team that belongs in a bowl. I'm not saying they belong in the Rose Bowl, but there should be, this team is good enough. It's good enough. It has enough talent, and not just talent, but enough of what it takes, of everything that goes into it to play in a bowl. And if it doesn't, then you have to look at the coaching job. And that doesn't mean necessarily I'm calling for heads, but it's something that a coach has to look at. He has to look himself in the mirror and deal with that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and a lot of people are kind of having their own measures of what is going to be good enough. I mean, I keep going back to this because this is something that hasn't been done at Nebraska for quite some time, predating Frost, and then of course throughout his tenure, is just beat Wisconsin or Iowa. Maybe Wisconsin being down, if they're just not a very good team, that wouldn't be enough. But how about just to get something like that, so that you can say you accomplished something this season, if it's not the bowl game, if they don't end up going to it, but just to get one of those things out of the way, at least would show some progress this season.
Well, while we're at it, we might as well throw Ohio State into that.
Oh, yeah.
That's a bigger mountain to climb.
Right. But Bock. No, that makes sense to end those streaks, to end those god-awful streaks, those incredible streaks. Remarkable when you consider Purdue has won 4 of its last 5 against Iowa. If I'm not mistaken, 4 of its last 5. Yeah. No, that would be something. There's still, look, I mean, there's still a lot left out there to make this team feel good about itself. I think if you're a competitor, you'd look at it that way. Those games. The fan base. I think the fan base here is still in it. It's not, Nebraska's not getting whacked. They're competitive. That's a step. So, I think, like, for instance, on October 30th, I think that's when Nebraska plays Purdue, is the date. I think people will be very engaged and interested. And then if Nebraska is able to beat Purdue, I definitely think that the level of interest for the next game will be high. So, there's still a lot. There's still a lot there.
Now, of course, today the news is the buy one get one offer from the university for that Purdue game, and we've talked ad nauseum about the sellout streak, and then the red carpet experience and how great that was. But did you ever think you'd see a day of a buy one get one ticket at Nebraska?
Yeah, I've contemplated that. Yeah, I mean I guess Bock. Yeah, and 2017 when there were tickets laying on the ground, laid in unused tickets laying on the ground for games in that last season of Riley. Yeah, I definitely thought of things like that.
He's Steve Sipple of the Lincoln Journal-Star. Scott had his presser today. He spoke to the media, including you. What was his mood? What did he say?
His mood was even. And I thought he said 3 or 4 really interesting things. For instance, that I thought it was. I guess he has made reference to this in the past, but he was very definitive about Nebraska is going to look hard into the transfer portal and the JUCOs for immediate impact players, because they're close. Everybody, we have this conversation all the time. Nebraska's close to getting over the top, but they do need some impact guys. And I'll put it to you this way: I wrote this today, and so people understand where I'm coming from on this. When I always say You need first and second rounders. That's a large part of the conversation. It's not the only one. Okay, it's not the only part of this conversation of what Nebraska gets over the top. But I would ask you this. I'm not even. It's a rhetorical question. If Nebraska had Amir Abdullah and Randy Gregory, who happened to be their last two second round picks, 2015. If Nebraska had Amir Abdullah on offense and Randy Gregory on defense, is there any doubt in your mind they would have won Saturday's game against Minnesota?
I don't think Amir Abdullah would have stumbled at the goal line. I think he might have scored.
Is there any doubt? There's no doubt in my mind that the red zone situation would be much better, and you have a much better chance with a pass rusher like that to get to cause Morgan problems. If you just take 2 second rounders and interject them onto that into that roster, it's a win. It's a conversation's way different.
But I think some would say, Steve Sipple of the Lincoln Journal-Star would retort with, but you've had 4 years to develop those types of guys, a Randy Gregory, Amir Abdullah, and you're playing freshman running back, or you're playing a guy Ramiro Johnson that was 5th on the depth chart. You've had a chance to develop these guys, and it hasn't happened, would be the retort.
Well, it is. I'm not assigning blame. I'm making a statement.
Yeah.
And that is, I just don't think there's any doubt that that's the case. And now I would also say you don't develop Randy Gregory. I mean, that happens for you. And nobody developed Randy Gregory at Nebraska. There was good coaching. I mean, Kaz did a great job with Randy and Bo and those guys. They did a great job with him, but he comes ready to roll. I mean, that now Amir is a much different story. Amir Abdullah was absolutely developed and developed himself. I mean, he had a weight bench in his bedroom because he knew that what the Big Ten looked like, and that he didn't look like a Big Ten running back when he got here, but he made himself into one, and with Nebraska with some great coaching. So, yeah, but look, I mean, if we're getting right down to it, yeah, one of my criticisms of Scott would be you have to get more big time talent that is clearly first or second round worthy, because there just hasn't been we always talk about it. They haven't had a first rounder since 2011. Now, Bock, if there's some things I never thought I'd hear myself say, as that Nebraska would go 10 plus years without a first rounder. Now, that's something I never would have dreamed I'd say.
Yeah, and that it is shocking, and of course a lot of teams would be a little bit better with an Amir and Randy. So hopefully, Nebraska can find some of those guys. But a lot of it too for the staff has been about retention, because maybe Wandale's not a second round or second rounder, but he sure might have been a difference for that sort of game. And when you turn
for sure.
Yeah, but when you turn looking next year and the retention that they're going to have, they're just some guys that are going to have to make some decisions. We've talked about Adrian ad nauseum about what he's going to do after the season, but the Cam Taylor-Britts, the Damian Daniels, the Austin Allens, even Cam Jurgens, Travis Vokalek, do you think that, if you can retain some of those guys, you can keep the momentum going? I mean, what is your goal in that sort of in that sort of group? You just want to kind of keep half the guys that are on that sort of line?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look at it, Bock. The players that could come back and that maybe have a decision to make. I don't know exactly what the goal would be, but yeah, if you can get, a few of I think Jurgens would be back. Okay, I'm not too worried about Jurgens. Hard to say on Vokalek. He could probably use another year. Austin Allen seems to be playing himself into the NFL right now, and it may not make sense for him to come back, especially if he continues to put up the sort of numbers he's putting up, because he's headed toward, putting up numbers that will probably be good enough to get him drafted. And, he'd be at some risk. I guess that's what it comes down to, Bock, is some guys will produce at a level that it would actually be sort of risky to come back.
Right.
But there's not that many guys in that conversation. Cam Taylor-Britt, now he's playing at a level that we kind of expected. But listen, I mean, he's not a no-brainer to be drafted in the first 4 rounds.
Yeah.
And there's no way he's a no-brainer in that conversation. He's probably playing well enough now to ensure that he gets drafted, but I don't know where.
Right. Steve Sipple is our guest, Lincoln Journal-Star. I want to get back to the talent discussion because we have it all the time. And Nebraska consistently wins the Big Ten rankings in the West. As far as the West, they always have the top classes and have under Scott Frost. And then you hear comments like PJ Fleck had after the game saying that was culture over skill, basically saying they had more talent and we beat them with culture. And some Husker fans feel that way, that it's not talent, it's a culture issue. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, I always boil it down to, what in this case we're talking about Minnesota and Nebraska.
Right.
Does Nebraska have a culture problem? No, I think Nebraska's culture has gotten better, but it's hard for me to argue, Tom, that Nebraska's culture is better than Minnesota's when Fleck is 3-1 against Nebraska and just beat Nebraska, and in fact beat Nebraska last year down 33 players. If you're just having the Nebraska-Minnesota discussion, I'd say you give Fleck an edge in that area. That his comments, while untoward and sort of a slight on his own program in terms of what they have skill-wise, well, you don't hear coaches say stuff like that, but I can't say that he's wrong. It's a stupid thing to say, but I can't say he's wrong. No, I think Minnesota's got a better culture than Nebraska. And I do give PJ Fleck some credit for that. Is it way better? Is it alarmingly better? No, but it's probably say it's a little better based on what, they were the aggressor. They had the upper hand. They seemed to want it more. They're in a better situation. You have to throw that in. But look what's happened. Look what's happened the last 3 years.
Well, and it's just interesting. There's so many different ways to dissect this thing. You kind of look at the culture overall, or against the coaching on game day. I think PJ Fleck, more than anybody in this league, has outcoached Scott Frost on game day. But you said earlier you have a belief that Nebraska maybe could still get to a bowl game. The remaining opponents, of course, the 4 remaining opponents, Scott Frost is 1-9 on game day against them. Are you feeling that Scott Frost is getting out coached on game day in many of these games, or it certainly seems like PJ Fleck, but for the variety, or is it more of that program building and kind of getting the missing pieces in place?
No, I think Scott's done a better job on game day. I don't see him getting consistently out coached. I don't think if you just go recently, there's no way he was out coached against Oklahoma. In fact, I'd almost say the opposite. I'd say Nebraska's staff probably came out pretty well in that one. Northwestern speaks for itself. But, I don't want to gloss over that too much because a lot was made going into that of, Fitzgerald, they have the Fitzgerald advantage and Fitzgerald will out-coach Scott. No, it didn't happen. In fact, it was pretty one-sided, scoreboard-wise and in terms of how poorly Northwestern was prepared for the option. Okay, Michigan, I'd say Nebraska out-coached Michigan. I thought Frost, in particular, with his offensive play calling and the way the offense was prepared, better. I'd say he had the upper hand. So that takes us where that was Michigan. That takes us up to here. I'd say Fleck outcoached him. It's a game-to-game discussion. I don't think Nebraska's losing that consistently anymore.
Nebraska has 4 games left. They've got to win 3, obviously, to make a bowl game. Of the 4 left, Purdue, obviously Ohio State. It's tough to be confident about that result. Wisconsin, Iowa. Where do you feel really confident that Nebraska can win?
I don't know that any of them I'm really confident. I think they're all, with the exception of Ohio State, they just stack up to be very close games.
Yeah.
Purdue, Wisconsin, Iowa, they just strike me as they're going to be very close. Yeah. Purdue's defense is playing at a level that's going to make that game a bear. It'll be a bear. Wisconsin, same. And I just think I just think Nebraska. I mean, come on, Nebraska's been right on the precipice of beating Iowa the last 3 years. Would it surprise me if Nebraska broke through against Iowa this year? Absolutely not. Wouldn't surprise me if they're able to beat Wisconsin or Purdue. So hey, the conversation doesn't really change that much. I'll tell you what can change it though is Nebraska. See, the thing about Nebraska is if I were one of the team leaders, I'd say, guys, we have to change the conversation, and we can do it. We're the only ones. We can't change what's coming out of Bock and Tom's mouth every day unless we do it. Okay? They can do it. There's a certain power they have that they need to recognize.
Huh.
They have to empower themselves. They need to change the conversation. They can change it.
That's a pretty good speech. They should hear that in the locker room from Steve Sipple before the game. I think that would work for me. We can change the conversation. Good stuff. Good to have you back, Steve. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thanse for having me back, and we'll talk soon.
There you go. Steve Sipple of the Lincoln Journal-Star. I wanted to ask you this question. I'll ask the guys for the pregame coming up in just a few minutes. LSU and USC are the two big open jobs in college football. Which one would you rather have? Which one is the better job, LSU or USC?
It's a tough call. For me, I would go with LSU.
Yeah. I want to hear what the other guys say. Of course, the pregame is on the way. Nick and Rico, we'll talk to them coming up next.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
The workday is long, the bills are due, and sometimes you just need to relax. There's no better way to do that than in your brand new hot spring spa from Bonzal Pool & Spa. With hot tubs as low as $75 per month and interest-free financing, you're sure to find the perfect spa to fit your lifestyle. So get over to Bonzal Pool & Spa today and check out their selection of hot spring spas. Bonzal Pool & Spa, 33rd and Highway 2. Every day made better.
Guys, we need to talk about a problem plaguing our society today: chronic fruitcake slander. Now, maybe you're thinking, I've had fruitcake. It's dry and heavy. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're eating the wrong fruitcake, because Grandma's fruitcake is anything but. Their recipe uses the highest quality fruits, hand-sorted nuts, and adds the perfect amount of brandy, bourbon, and rum. Their desserts are known and loved across the country, and they're made right here in Southeast Nebraska. If you haven't tried them yet, you're missing out. Grandma's Fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Welcome to our world of yum.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. High school football playoffs are right around the corner as teams jockey for seeding. On Friday, Lincoln East took care of Lincoln Northeast 56-14. East would look unstoppable at times, scoring on 6 straight drives. Lincoln Southeast lost handedly to Gretna, 42-14. Southeast moved to 10 in the power rankings despite a bad second half. Lincoln High shut out Omaha Northwest 34-0. North beat Lincoln Pius 43-22. Lincoln Southwest was shut out by Omaha Burke 24-0. Waverly won big over Crete 48-14. Lincoln Christian fell to Milford 46-20, and Lincoln Lutheran won over Centennial by a touchdown 28-21. In Class A softball, Lincoln Southwest came out as this year's champion after facing Lincoln East on Friday with a final score of 16-7. The last time two Lincoln teams faced off in the championship was 2009 between Southwest and North Star. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
Take your tan to the max at Max Tan and tan for a can every day through the month of October. Bring in a can of food for the food bank and get a free tan from Max Tan. See maxtan.net for details. Tan for a can every day in October, only at Max Tan.
Tailgating wasn't just meant for weekends. Join 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday at Chick-fil-A for Tailgate Tuesdays. Scan your app with any purchase on Tuesdays and you'll be entered to win a tailgate meal for 15 people. That's chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, and iced tea or lemonade. Winners will be contacted each Wednesday, and you can come see Tom and Bock from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the 48th and location or at South Point each week. It's Tailgate Tuesdays all season long at Chick-fil-A in Lincoln.
Why pay for average lawn care when you can get better elsewhere? Blades Lawn Care is the place to go for excellent service for homeowners associations and commercial or residential lawn work. As we enter the fall with aerating and lawn care ahead of winter, also prepare for 2022 maintenance for your lawn. Call Rich today at 402-730-6320 to learn more, or to schedule services for the fall, or to look ahead to 2022. Blades Lawn Care, trusted service for over 10 years.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. Drive-bys is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Smoothbrook, Illinois.
You knew the risks when you decided to drive drunk. There could be a crash. People could get hurt or killed. But that didn't stop you, did it? You knew you could get arrested. You could incur huge legal expenses, and you could possibly even lose your job. You were well aware of the consequences of driving drunk. But one thing's for sure. You were wrong when you said it was no big deal. Drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
Hey, buying a used vehicle sucks, and the biggest problem is who can you trust? Hey, this is Carl from Price Right Auto out here at West O Street in Lincoln. Here's what customers have told us they want from us. They want transparent pricing with no games. We have all our pricing on our website, plus a Carfax report. We don't want to buy a lemon. We include a 3-month warranty on all of our vehicles. We don't want to play games. Just make it simple. You saw that with non-commissioned salespeople. Can you trust us? Just check out our Google reviews. Again, this is Carl from Price Right Auto in West O. Check us out at pricerightauto.com.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. This month's specials are Sam Adams, Exile Brewing from Iowa, and other fall seasons. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Final segment of Tom and Bock. It's the pregame. I asked this question as we went to break. The two big open jobs in college football this year are going to be LSU and USC. They're already open. In fact, Ed Orgeron has stepped down. He said he's going to coach to the end of the season. They already got rid of Clay Helton at USC. So they're going with Dante Williams, right? The former Husker coach for the rest of the year. Jimbo has said no interest. Dabo has said he doesn't have any interest. Dave Aranda, I'm sure his name will be called out because of LSU connections there as the defensive coordinator. Mel Tucker has coached at LSU. But I don't really care about who coaches at either school. But I do want to know who has the better job? Which job do you think is the better job in college football, guys?
USC.
USC over LSU.
I was thinking LSU.
I go with LSU too.
I think USC because you have everything you need to win. I mean, you're recruiting to Southern California. You have all those stars that literally come. You have you have to be a certain type of person to coach at USC because you have to.
LSU and USC both recruit to themselves.
Yes,
I mean you're going to get a top 15.
I feel like
USC doesn't have to leave California for their recruiting class, but they can, and they do. Every single year they go to Texas, they go to Florida, and it's pretty easy to recruit to USC. LSU is the same. They don't have to leave Louisiana. They can go to Alabama. They can go to Arkansas also, and they can go to Texas right next door to get their guys. I just think LSU is a much better spot. The fan base is more rabid than USC.
They've had more talent
than USC.
They've had more draft picks, and they've had multiple coaches win their championships. But so has USC. But it's been a long time since Pete Carroll was at USC.
Well, I think USC has a lot of unnecessary, not unnecessary because there's they're one of the better programs in history. But right now, currently in the couple of years that we've seen USC, it's unnecessary pressure. Where if you go there and you're not Pac-12 champion within 2 years, it's, well, maybe we should fire this guy.
I think it's easier to win at USC, though. Number one, because the conference they're in.
Yep.
Number two, geographical location, I think it's easier to win at USC.
They're both good jobs, obviously, and they'll both get great coaches, and they'll always be good jobs. Unlike, certain schools, because, Texas lives where they live, or USC lives where they live, or same with LSU. It's always going to be considered a good gig because there's talent in that area.
Well, in USC, I mean, maybe just it's been too long since they were good. But if you remember when Pete Carroll had them there, they're celebrities, similar to Los Angeles, the Lakers right now. One of the reasons why they're my favorite team is I just call them the LeBron and the socialites. All those guys are signing there. They're going to be on TMZ and all that other thing. And at USC, if you do, I mean, Hollywood is part of it,
right?
So there's a certain allure to that, but there's also
Marquise Step high-fived Reggie Bush after he scored a touchdown.
Right. And then he never played again.
He got in trouble.
But there's also a certain allure to Death Valley. I mean, despite not being necessarily a blue blood, that's the place that everybody wants to go to see a game of college football.
The care factor is a lot higher
oh, yeah.
at LSU.
Yes.
If you're not great at USC, okay, I'll just go to the beach.
Yeah.
That type of thing. If
The
you're
food
great,
is better at LSU also.
Gumbo?
Right. You're a big Cajun fan?
Big Cajun fan. I think they barbecue better than USC also.
Okay, moving on to the NBA. Last night, opening night, the Lakers lose and didn't win one preseason game. And then they get beat by Golden State, who doesn't even have Clay yet. And the Bucks beat up on the Nets. They look like the NBA champions that they are. What'd you get more out of watching last night? Lakers versus Golden State or Bucks beating Nets?
I got nothing out of either one of those. I got that it's going to be a really fun season, but I took nothing away from either one of those. KD played a really good game. Giannis played a really good game. Harden played a pretty good. Like the Nets and the Bucks look really good. I'm really impressed with the pieces that they've surrounded Giannis with in Milwaukee. The Nets are probably going to have to figure out their bench situation. It's a bunch of guys who you've never really heard of.
Oh, Patty Mills is perfect.
But Patty Mills was fantastic.
He's
Patty
just
Mills
like Kyrie. He's pretty much the same as
But
Kyrie.
after Patty Mills, it's just like, okay, who's doing what for in what situation? You know, when Harden and KD go to the bench, who are you turning to in Brooklyn? That's really a problem. And in LA, they're going to need to figure out the point guard situation.
Russell Westbrook.
I don't think Russell Westbrook and LeBron James will work on the floor together because LeBron wants to keep the ball and Russell's not a jump shooter. So if you could swap Russell, put him on the bench, have him lead the second unit with Melo, and then leave Rondo to start because he's more of a pass first point guard. And lately, he's been hitting more threes than Russell Westbrook. So
would Russell do that?
No, I don't think he would.
You're paying Russell a lot to be on the bench.
I don't know.
He's really highly paid.
As you've seen, Melo is fine coming off the bench. He's done it for 2-3 years already, so he's okay. But Russell, I don't know.
Those guys, I mean, that's where the point. You got to get to that ego because Melo had a time in his career. We all remember where he felt like the ball should run through him and he wasn't going to try to play, and then the NBA kind of froze him out. Russell's never necessarily hasn't degraded to that level. But on this, I mean, this could be the wake up year where, hey, if you want to play for a contender in a big three, it's going to be hard because you just don't. You're so ball dominant and your game is so dependent on you being ball dominant that the other stars aren't going to want to play with you.
But I think it'll work him being ball dominant later on in the season or midway through the season when LeBron kind of wants to take more of a backseat and let Anthony Davis run the show, which they did in the first half of that game. And Anthony Davis was fantastic. But when LeBron James wants to just take a backseat, maybe he doesn't want to bring the ball up the court and he just wants to, set screens or catch oops or sit in the corner and hit threes. I think Russell Westbrook would be perfect in that role. But until LeBron James gets a little tired during the season, I don't know how him and Russell will
I think you're right. The best scenario is him running the second team, and on load management nights, you play him a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he accepts that role. Got the Celtics and the Knicks tonight.
Where I'm going.
Were we all going to wear the jerseys again tomorrow?
I will.
Okay, let's
After
all
they
wear
win,
the jerseys.
and I'll let you wear it.
I have to wear a Knicks jersey if they win.
And
you do too. You have two Knicks jerseys?
I have one, but I have like a Knicks. I have that sweater.
Okay,
I'll put them all on. Bring all your Knicks gear, but I
gear
won't have to wear it. I'll bring all my Celtics gear, and you'll be loaded down. You'll weigh like 10 pounds.
Whatever you say.
Because even on the road, I feel confident the Celtics are going to win.
Horford's out because of COVID. Jaylen Brown needs some help breathing because of COVID.
I don't want to bet then. I'm out. I'm not betting.
It's not perfect.
Jason Tatum's going to have to drop 50 so the Celtics only lose by 10.
Oh, he does that.
Go Bulls.
And
then there's Go Bulls.
Who do they got, the Pistons?
You betcha.
All right.
That's a win.
Good luck with your Bulls. That's it for the pregame happy hours next. Nick and Rico on the way.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. Drive-bys is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
You knew the risks when you decided to drive drunk. There could be a crash. People could get hurt or killed. But that didn't stop you, did it? You knew you could get arrested. You could incur huge legal expenses, and you could possibly